My brain decided to throw a rave without my permission. Imagine someone jamming a red-hot nail into your skull while simultaneously scraping your bones with knives. Oh, and for dessert, somebody saws your head open and pours lava inside. Yeah, fun Tuesday. My face went tight, veins popping on my forehead like angry worms. But my eyes? Cool as a cucumber. Because honestly, I've done this before. Last life, this exact thing happened while zombies were chasing me. I dropped to my knees mid-sprint, nearly became a zombie snack, and then, boom, woke up with A-rank fire powers. Good times. But wait, I already brought my old powers back when I was reborn. So why is this happening again? Plot twist, second awakening. Apparently my body decided one superpower upgrade wasn't dramatic enough. Inside me, two fires started a full-on cage match. My old bright yellow flame was just minding its business in my core, napping peacefully, when this new orange flame showed up like a drunk uncle at Thanksgiving and started flipping tables. These two idiots were fighting inside my body. My veins were the wrestling ring. Yellow fire chasing orange fire through my blood vessels, ripping my meridians apart, then the energy stitching them back together just to rip them again. My brain was the second arena. Every collision felt like someone taking a sledgehammer to my skull. My vision went black, then red, black, red, like the world's worst disco. My skin got so hot the leather chair under me started smoking. The whole room smelled like a barbecue gone wrong. But did I scream? Nope. Screaming doesn't help. I learned that lesson across 3 years of apocalypse hell. Pain is just the admission fee for leveling up. I closed my eyes and waited. My strategy? Let these two fire idiots beat each other senseless. Like taming two wild horses, you don't jump between them, you let them tire themselves out, then you slap the reins on. 10 minutes passed. Felt like a year. Finally, the yellow flame ran out of fight. The orange flame swallowed it whole. The two merged into one, spinning in my core like a baby star being born. I opened my eyes. Still black pupils, but deep down, a flicker of crimson light dancing in there. I raised my hand. One thought, and poof, a tiny flame appeared on my fingertip. Not the warm orange from my past life. Not the bright yellow from before. This was crimson red. Like molten lava. Like a sunset that could kill you. The flame was only as big as a fingernail, but the air around it started warping like a desert mirage. Water droplets formed on the window several meters away from the temperature difference alone. I stared at it for 3 seconds. Then I flicked it. The little flame sailed across the room and hit a metal cabinet. No explosion. No fire spreading everywhere. Just a fist-sized hole punched clean through the metal. Edges smooth as glass. The steel had been straight up vaporized. I froze. Then I grinned. S-rank. S-rank, baby. In my past life, I died without ever reaching S-rank. That which Lu Ruyan stole the SS-rank purple fire fruit, I nearly died getting and handed it to Lu Chong on a silver platter. I thought I'd never touch that ceiling again. But here I am. My A-rank fire just evolved into S-rank on its own. And apparently, once evolution happens once, it can happen again, second, third, even fourth times. Meaning I can get even stronger. I stared at the crimson flame on my fingertip and smiled. Apocalypse? Bring it. Then I heard footsteps in the stairwell. Not one person, a whole mob. Plus metal clanging against the railings, loud and obnoxious, basically screaming, "We're here, everyone get out of our way." My eyes went cold. I crept to the stairwell, hid behind the fire door, and peeked down. 20-something floors below, a group was climbing up. And leading the pack? A very familiar face. Lu Chong. I was confused for a second. What's this clown doing in Hangqing Tower? Then it clicked. I remembered who Lin Wei was. She was Lu Chong's blind date. In my past life, Lu Chong and I were practically family, but I never met Lin Wei. Guess this is where the story took a different turn. Now I was genuinely curious what would happen next. Lu Chong was wearing a wrinkled floral shirt, collar wide open showing his bony collarbones. He had this bootlicker grin plastered on his face, bent over like a shrimp, carrying a baseball bat. Walking in the middle of the group, panting like he was dying. The man clearly had zero cardio. His neck kept twitching and his nose kept sniffing, lips spasming. Classic sugar addiction acting up. Behind him trailed a dozen thugs. Fat ones, skinny ones, tall ones, short ones. Some had hair dyed every color of the rainbow, clothes a mess, but they all shared the same look in their eyes. That feral apocalypse just started, and I'm already looting energy. At the very back walked a bald guy, face full of meat, with a nasty knife scar running from his eyebrow all the way down to his mouth. He walked slow and heavy, each step making a deep thud on the stairs like a war drum. My eyes locked onto him. This guy was dangerous. Not a gut feeling. 3 years of apocalypse survival trained me to spot killers in a crowd instantly. Lu Chong, heaven had a perfectly good road for you, but you chose to waltz straight into hell. I smirked and quietly stepped back. Bang! The fire door on the 28th floor got kicked open so hard it slammed into the wall. Lu Chong stumbled through, gasping, legs shaking. 20-something floors of stairs had his lungs filing for divorce. But he didn't rest. He hunched over and ran back to the bald Scarface guy, then dropped to his knees. Scarborough, this is the floor. My girlfriend's on this floor. She told me herself she helped build the Hang Bank base. She worked on the blueprints. I'll definitely convince her to hand them over. And then, his nose twitched again. The crystal sugar. Scarface looked down at him. Nodded once. Said nothing. Lu Chong's smile was so pathetic it could have won an award. The man had the dignity of a doormat. I stayed hidden near the stairwell, watching this circus unfold from the shadows. Lu Chong and his merry band of idiots stomped through the 28th floor like they owned the place, screaming, Wei Wei, where are you? It's your boy Aqiang. I'm here to rescue you. At the top of his lungs. Real romantic hero energy. If the hero was a sweaty shrimp in a wrinkled shirt whose legs were still shaking from climbing stairs. They found a storage room. Emergency lights inside casting ghostly white glow over everything. And there she was, Lin Wei. White lab coat, glasses, digging through shelves for water bottles and expired cookies. The woman was just trying to survive, and then this happened. Lu Chong burst through the door like he was starring in an action movie, arms wide open for a hug. Wei Wei, I finally found you. The earthquake made it dangerous. I came back just for you. Her response? Ice cold. Came back? You ran faster than anyone when the earthquake hit. Didn't even turn your head. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Lu Chong's fake smile glitched like a broken screen. Then he scrambled for an excuse. I was going to find help. Look, Scarborough and his guys are the backup I brought. Yes, sure, buddy. You went looking for rescue and came back with a gang of thugs. Totally checks out. Then Scarface himself walked in. 6 feet tall, muscles everywhere, a green dragon tattoo crawling up his neck. He looked Lin Wei up and down. Dusty lab coat, messy black hair, cold eyes behind thin-framed glasses staring at him like he was garbage. And this psycho liked that. He licked his lips. The intellectual woman who looks at me like trash type apparently got him excited. Disgusting. He shoved Lu Chong aside, flashed a mouth full of yellow teeth, and said, Little sister, don't be scared. Your boyfriend asked me to save you. Just hand over the Hang Bank blueprints, and I guarantee you'll live like a queen. Then he reached out to touch her face. What happened next made me genuinely respect this woman. She didn't flinch. She didn't cry. She whipped out a box cutter from her pocket and slashed his wrist wide open. Blood everywhere. Scarface screamed and yanked his hand back. A deep gash across his wrist, flesh peeling, blood dripping down his fingers. Lin Wei stood there holding the bloody blade, steady as a surgeon. Not a single tremble in her hand. One more step and the next cut goes across your throat. The storage room went dead silent. Nobody expected the quiet girl in glasses to actually draw blood. Lu Chong turned white and stumbled backward. Brave man. But Scarface? His eyes shifted. Gone was the creepy flirting. Now it was pure animal rage. He grabbed an iron handle welded onto a filing cabinet, a thick metal pipe, and crushed it with one hand. Squeezed it flat like a noodle. See this? It's called a superpower. Your little knife hurt me once. Won't work twice. Lu Chong crawled back into frame, whispering, Wei Wei, Scarborough is a powered person. We need his protection to survive. Just give him the blueprints. Nobody will care during a disaster. Shut up. Lin Wei's voice was quiet, but every word hit the floor like a hammer. The blueprints are not yours to have. That's a designer's bottom line. You want to rob a bank? You think nobody will investigate later? Lu Chong, I'm telling you to stop right now. Lu Chong's sugar addiction kicked in hard. His face twisted, lips twitching, nose sniffing uncontrollably. He pulled out a crumpled cigarette pack, lit one up, took a huge drag, and started yelling through the smoke. Lin W.I. Don't refuse a toast only to drink a penalty. Scarborough is a powered person. In this new world, only the strong survive. Slap. Lin Wei smacked him across the face so hard the cigarette flew out of his mouth and sparks scattered across the floor. Lu Chong staggered back 2 steps, holding his cheek, staring at her in total disbelief. Get out. She pointed the box cutter at the door. Scarface watched this whole scene and actually laughed. Interesting. Really interesting. Then he waved his hand casually, like ordering takeout. Grab her. Can't find the blueprints? Take the person. The blueprints are in her head. Then we'll dig them out of her head. His thugs tossed their cigarettes and started closing in. Heavy footsteps echoing in the tiny storage room. Lin Wei pressed her back against the wall. The concrete was cold through her shirt. The box cutter blade gleamed under the emergency light. But she knew. One small blade against this many people wasn't going to cut it. Pun intended. That's when I decided the show was over. I walked up to the storage room door. My footsteps echoed in the hallway. Lu Chong spun around, face twisting. Who? Nobody answered. My footsteps stopped right at the doorway. Then I opened my mouth and said the most satisfying sentence of my entire reborn life. Lu Chong. Looks like you're trying to sell your girlfriend. Lu Chong spun around when he heard my voice. That look on his face. Pure hatred mixed with, oh no, beautiful combination. I was standing in the doorway, backlit like a movie protagonist. Didn't plan it. Just happened. Sometimes the universe has good cinematography. Lin Wei spotted me, and her eyes got all watery. Someone's finally here to help. Look. But then the fear kicked back in. I could practically hear her brain doing math. 1 guy versus 15 thugs plus a superpowered bald maniac. The numbers weren't great. She opened her mouth, probably to tell me to run. I didn't look at her. I was busy counting heads. Bang. Nobody saw me move. The first thug, the one with the machete, just suddenly became airborne. 1 second, he was standing there looking tough. Next second, he was decorating the opposite wall. Thug number 2 raised his steel pipe. My knee was already buried in his stomach. He folded up like a lawn chair, dropped to his knees, and started dry heaving. The pipe rolled away into the corner with a sad little clatter. Number 3 was actually quick. Came at my back with a knife. I didn't even turn around. Just shifted sideways, felt the blade whisper past my shirt, and drove my elbow into his temple. Lights out. He crumpled like a puppet with cut strings. Number 4? This genius tried to run. I grabbed him by the collar, yanked him backward off his feet, and slammed him onto the concrete floor. Back of his skull bounced off the cement with a dull thud. Side kick. Knee strike. Elbow. Chokehold. No fancy moves. Just maximum efficiency. 3 years of apocalypse combat boiled down to pure muscle memory. Every hit landing exactly where it needed to. 3 seconds. For thugs on the floor, moaning like a sad choir. The rest of them froze. Someone actually took a step backward. Smart man. Lu Chong's smile was stuck on his face like a broken emoji. Scarface stepped forward, cracking his knuckles like popcorn. Not bad, brother. But in this new world, just knowing how to fight ain't enough. Then he launched at me like a human cannonball. Fast. Way faster than a guy that big should move. His fist came rocketing toward my face, and, oh, that's new. His entire fist was coated in rock. Gray-brown stone crawling from his knuckles up to his forearm like natural armor. I dodged. His stone fist whistled past my ear and punched the wall behind me. Boom. The concrete cracked. Wall dust rained down everywhere. The whole room smelled like cement powder. He turned around for round 2 and stopped because I raised my right hand. A little crimson flame danced on my fingertip. Tiny. Fingernail-sized. But the second it appeared, the temperature in the storage room jumped several degrees. The thugs closest to me started sweating instantly, foreheads glistening. It was like someone opened an oven door in their faces. Scarface's pupils shrank to pinpoints. His tough guy expression crumbled into pure shock. You're also a... His voice came out dry and scratchy, like sandpaper on glass. I didn't answer. I just casually flicked the little flame toward Lu Chong's feet. Hiss. A scorched pit appeared in the concrete floor. Edges smooth as polished glass. The cement had been vaporized. The pit was less than 10 centimeters from Lu Chong's toes. His legs turned to jelly. Cold sweat poured down his face, soaking through the back of his shirt. The man nearly collapsed on the spot. 3 seconds of silence. Then Scarface spoke, voice low and cautious. Brother, which crew are you with? Lu Chong, seeing his boss talking instead of fighting, suddenly found his courage again. The audacity of this man. He saw Lin Wei moving toward me, and his eyes went red with jealousy. Li Chang'e, you pathetic simp. He lunged forward and grabbed Lin Wei's wrist, yanking her backward. She stumbled, her shoulders slamming into the shelf. But this woman, I was really starting to like her style. She didn't scream. She popped the box cutter blade out and stabbed it straight into the arm that was gripping her. HHH, Lu Chong screamed and let go. Blood ran down his arm, dripping onto the dusty floor, blooming into dark red flowers in the gray dust. Lin Wei pulled free and backed into the corner, bloody knife in hand. She looked at me and gave me a single nod. No words needed. Translation, I'm fine. Go ahead and do your thing. Lu Chong was staring at his own blood dripping through his fingers, and something in his eyes snapped. The crazy was coming out. His mouth started twitching uncontrollably. You dirty. I was done talking. I raised my right hand. Fire erupted from my fingertips. Not the cute little fingernail flame from before. This was a violent, scorching, burn everything to ash torrent of fire. The flames gathered in my palm, compressed, stretched, and shaped themselves into a sword. A freaking fire sword. The blade was translucent crimson, like molten lava forged into steel. The edges warped the air around them so badly everything behind the sword looked like a funhouse mirror. The temperature in the room shot up to suffocating levels instantly. Lu Chong's brain blue-screened. He stood there with his mouth hanging open, staring at my fire sword, completely forgetting about the wound on his arm. Blood just kept dripping. Drip, drip, drip. I swung. Whoosh. Lu Chong's entire arm separated from his body at the shoulder and dropped to the floor with a meaty thud. No blood spray. The cut was cauterized instantly. The extreme heat carbonized everything on contact. The stump was charcoal black, like a burnt log. The air filled with the smell of scorched meat mixed with iron. Absolutely revolting. The severed arm lay on the floor. The fingers were still twitching. Lu Chong looked down at his own arm on the ground. The arm that had just been grabbing Lin Wei. Then the pain hit. A scream like a pig being slaughtered, so high-pitched it bounced off every wall in the storage room. Then his eyes rolled back, and he passed out cold. His body flopped to the ground like a sack of rice, the blackened stump pointing at the ceiling like a burnt tree trunk. Dead silence. Every single thug in the room was staring at Lu Chong's body, then at my fire sword, then back at Lu Chong. Their faces went white as paper. Some started shuffling toward the door, but their legs were shaking so bad they could barely stand. Then Scarface moved. He let out a roar, and his entire body erupted in that gray-brown rock armor. Shoulders, chest, arms, fists, everything covered in thick stone plating. The surface was rough and cracked like a dried-up riverbed. He looked like a walking boulder. He threw a massive punch at me. The air screamed as his stone fist came flying. I sidestepped. His fist obliterated the metal shelf behind me. The whole thing collapsed in a shower of steel pipes and junk, dust billowing everywhere. I countered with a sword slash aimed at his neck. The fire blade bit into the stone armor. Hisses, rock chips flying, sparks scattering, but the blade only cut about half an inch deep before getting stuck. His stone shell was too thick, like trying to cut through a castle wall with a kitchen knife. I pulled the sword free and stepped back, studying his armor. The earlier someone awakened their powers after the disaster, the greater their potential. This Scarface guy might have awakened even before I did. Scarface grinned like he'd already won. Useless. My stone armor can stop bullets. He came at me again, fist after fist, each one capable of turning a human into paste. I dodged and watched. Just watched. 3 seconds was all I needed. His rock armor had gaps. Armpits, back of the knees, back of the neck, the joints where the stone was thinnest. And every time he threw a punch, a tiny crack opened under his arm. I stopped dodging. One thought in my mind, and I vanished. Scarface's fist hit nothing but air. He froze. You could practically see the question mark floating above his bald head. Where'd he go? Behind you, genius. I appeared at his back and thrust the fire sword at an impossible angle, right into the hairline crack where stone met skin at the back of his neck. The blade punched through and came out his throat. His eyes went wide. A gurgling sound escaped his mouth. Then his entire stone armor shattered like a collapsing statue, chunks of rock crumbling off him as he crashed to the floor. His head rolled about 2 meters away. The expression on his face was still frozen in surprise, like someone who just realized the punchline of a very bad joke. Dead silence in the storage room. Liu Chang was lying on the floor cradling his stump, staring at Scarface's rolling head like he'd been struck by lightning. The guy he'd gotten on his knees for. The guy who could bend steel with his bare hands. The guy whose stone armor was supposedly bulletproof. Just got deleted in one move? Then came the warm feeling in his pants. A dark stain spreading down his thigh. The lovely aroma of fresh urine joined the barbecue smell already hanging in the air. Wonderful atmosphere. The remaining thugs looked at each other for half a second, then hit the floor like synchronized swimmers. Foreheads slamming into concrete. Spare us, boss. We were tricked by Liu Chang. Nothing to do with us. I ignored them. Walked straight toward Liu Chang. He was shaking so hard, he looked like a vibrating phone. Tears, snot, drool. His face was a complete biohazard. He started bashing his forehead against the floor so hard blood actually appeared. Li Changa. No, brother-in-law. No, Lord Eli. I was wrong. I'm a dog. I'm blind. You're a big man with a big heart. You already slept with my sister, so please spare this dog's life. Then, and I genuinely could not believe my ears. Take Lin Wei too. She's yours. Do whatever you want with her. Just let me live. He was kowtowing like his life depended on it. Which it did. But what nobody noticed was his chest heaving in a weird way. Not fear breathing. Something was waking up inside him. At his severed arm stump, strange gray threads were creeping outward along the charred edges. Liu Chang felt it too. Power. The kind that could get him off his knees. He kept smashing his head on the floor, but the corner of his mouth, curling up ever so slightly. Then, snap, he threw his chest forward. Li Changa, I'll kill you. A massive man-eating flower exploded out of his chest. Gray-brown vines, blood-red center, petals lined with rows of tiny barbed hooks. The thing's mouth opened up as wide as a wash basin, lunging straight for my head. Lin Wei screamed, "Watch out." I didn't move. Didn't even blink. Fire sword. Horizontal slash. Hisses. The flower split clean in half. Gray-brown juice sprayed everywhere. The severed petals flopped on the floor, still twitching and squirming like dying worms, before my flames burned them to ash with a satisfying sizzle. Liu Chang's chest ripped open where the flower had burst out, blood gushing everywhere. He stared down at himself, then up at me, total disbelief on his face. How did you? Blood foam bubbled from his mouth. I smiled, pressed the tip of my fire sword against his chest, just barely breaking skin. The heat seared the wound shut with a hissing sound, filling the air with more burnt meat smell. This room was going to need serious ventilation. Liu Chang shook like a leaf, pants completely soaked through. Mouth open, trying to beg, but nothing came out. Thing is, I saw this coming from a mile away. In my past life, I personally fed countless resources to that stupid flower of his. Watched him grow from a worthless S-rank nobody into one of the 4 kings. I knew exactly what kind of creature Liu Chang was. The kowtowing? The begging? Always a setup. There's always a knife hidden behind the tears. The second his chest puffed out, I was already moving. Not backward, forward. One kick. Right between the legs. Crack. Sounded like an egg breaking. His scream didn't even make it out of his mouth before he passed out cold. A pool of blood slowly spread from down there. I glanced down, looked away, left him breathing. I had a better idea. Let Lin Wei decide what to do with him later. That seemed more fun. I turned to the thugs still kneeling on the floor. The loudest one, yellow-haired punk who'd been acting tough earlier. Fire sword up, fire sword down. Head off. Simple math. The rest screamed and scattered like roaches when you flipped the light switch. I swept both hands behind me. A dozen fire daggers launched from my palms, one after another, threading through the air with surgical precision, each one punching clean through a fleeing chest. Bodies hit the floor. Blood spread across the concrete. The room smelled like a butcher shop next to a furnace. Lin Wei was pressed against the wall, trembling. She'd seen dead people before, earthquake victims. But that was a natural disaster. An accident. This was intentional killing right in front of her eyes. Her mind was still stuck in the old world. The civilized one, with laws and courts and "Thou shalt not murder." She looked at my back, the same person who'd just saved her life, and saw something that looked like a demon crawled straight out of hell. She wanted to yell, "Stop," but her throat locked up. By the time she thought to scream, it was already over. I turned around and looked at her. My eyes were cold. She took a step back. Li Chang'e, her voice was shaking. I looked at her and recognized that expression instantly. I'd seen it 1,000 times in my past life. The bleeding hearts. The ones who took in strangers and got stabbed in the back. The ones who couldn't bring themselves to kill prisoners and got killed by them. The ones who believed in the goodness of humanity and died the ugliest deaths. I called them saints. In the apocalypse, saints don't survive 3 days. What? Want to beg for their lives? Her face went even whiter. She tried to say something, but her lips wouldn't cooperate. I didn't wait for an answer. Walked over to Lu Chang and kicked him. He groaned and woke up. Looked down at the blood pooling between his legs. His face said everything his mouth couldn't. I need to be straightforward here. This chapter contains a depiction of sexual assault, and I'm not going to write that part in a funny or entertaining style. Framing sexual violence as humorous would normalize something deeply harmful, regardless of it being fiction. I'll summarize the full chapter, but handle that section with the gravity it warrants. I looked at Lin Wei and asked if she wanted to beg for Lu Chang's life. Called him her fiancé just to twist the knife. Her hands were shaking. She remembered him running away during the earthquake, remembered him dragging her to Scarface, saying vile things about what he'd do to her. She should hate him. But seeing him broken on the floor, something stirred. Not sympathy, just nausea. She whispered, "He's already like this. Can't you just?" I laughed. Reminded her that 2 minutes ago his man-eating flower tried to kill me. If I'd been slower, I'd be the one on the floor. I told her the truth. People like her, soft, kind, can't stomach death. I'd seen them die by the hundreds. I called them saints. Saints don't last 3 days in the apocalypse. Their mercy gets them killed and everyone around them too. I picked up her box cutter and held it out. Kill him. Prove you're not a saint. Prove you're worth keeping alive. I don't need saints, dead weight, or decoration. I lifted her chin, studying her like I was deciding whether to keep or discard her. She took the knife. Her hand trembled. The blade wobbled, couldn't line up with Lu Chang's throat. 3 seconds passed. Clang. The knife hit the floor. I can't. I stepped closer, pinned her against a desk, told her the old world's rules. Killing is illegal. Life is sacred. Those rules are dead. The looters and killers outside won't follow rules. In this new world, the weak don't get choices. And I make the rules now. The only thing you need to do is obey me. What follows is Li Chang'e sexually assaulting Lin Wei. The text depicts him physically overpowering her, tearing her clothes, ignoring her screaming and begging him to stop, while Lu Chang is bound nearby by fire ropes, forced to watch, raging helplessly. This goes on for 3 hours. Afterward, I stood by the window watching the rain. Lin Wei lay on the desk, broken. She pulled her torn clothes together to cover herself. Lu Chang was tied to a pillar, voice gone hoarse, still croaking. "You two dogs. I'll kill you both." Something had changed in Lin Wei. The old world thinking was gone. She understood now. Civilization had collapsed. The strong define everything. She picked up a rusty steel pipe from the floor and walked toward Lu Chang. Lin Wei stood over Lu Chang, barefoot on cold concrete, staring at the face that made her sick. She remembered almost convincing herself to accept him. Family pressure. Maybe he'd change after marriage. The usual lies women tell themselves. Then the earthquake hit, and he bolted without looking back. Then he came back with thugs and said things no human being should say. Lu Chang was still running his mouth, tied to that pillar. "You think Li Chang'e cares about you? You're trash. When I get out, I'll kill you both." Lin Wei smiled. Something in that smile made even me pay attention. She remembered what I told her. The old world is gone. And she agreed. The old Lin Wei, the one who wrote careful inspection reports, who was saving herself for marriage, who flinched at violence. That woman was dead. She raised the steel pipe. Lu Chang's eyes went wide. What are you doing?" Clang. His head snapped sideways. Blood ran down from his forehead. "You dare hit me, you?" Clang. Second hit. Blood foamed from his mouth. Eyes still open, lips moving, trying to curse. She kept going. One swing after another. Methodical. Mechanical. Until he stopped moving. "Is this loyalty pledge good enough for you?" Her voice was raw sandpaper. Then she collapsed, crouching on the floor, and cried. Cried until there were no tears left. Curled into a ball in the corner, face buried in her knees. I sat nearby with my eyes closed. Didn't look at her. My logic hadn't changed from the beginning. She was useful. The bank blueprints were in her head. Useful stays. Useless goes. Simple math. Night came. Rain hammered the building like it would never stop. Then something interesting happened. Lin Wei suddenly started shivering. Not normal cold shivering. This was ice in your bones, frost in your blood shivering. Her lips turned purple. Her teeth chattered so hard she couldn't speak. She looked down at her hand. A thin layer of frost was forming on her skin. She tried to stand. Couldn't. Her body was freezing from the inside out. The cold traveled through her blood vessels, into her bones, into her organs. Everything shutting down. With her last bit of consciousness, she called my name. I opened my eyes and immediately understood. Ability awakening. Ice type. Her entire body was coated in a thin layer of ice crystals, glittering under the emergency lights like creepy armor. I crouched down and touched her forehead. A blast of freezing cold shot up my arm. My fire ability automatically fought back, a flame popping up in my palm to kill the chill. She pressed her face against my warm hand like a freezing kitten finding a heater. So cold. So cold. I ran through my options fast. In my past life, I'd seen plenty of ice-type awakeners. But never like this. Body frosting over, temperature plummeting, essentially freezing yourself to death. Without outside help, the death rate during awakening was extremely high. Ice-type was one of the most dangerous. The awakening itself was a life-or-death trial. She grabbed my sleeve, eyes empty of everything except raw survival instinct. Save me. Save me. I used my fire ability to help stabilize her. Sent my flame energy into her body like a careful snake, wrapping around the rampaging ice energy inside her, gradually taming it. It wasn't a fight between fire and ice. It was a dance. The two opposite forces spinning around each other inside her, colliding and merging, circle after circle. She opened her eyes briefly and saw my face close to hers. I was sweating, brow furrowed, concentrating hard. Using my own power to suppress her out-of-control ice energy was taking serious effort. Inside her, fire and ice, natural enemies, were slowly learning to coexist. Destruction and creation, freezing and burning. An ancient ritual playing out in one woman's body. Lin Wei woke up. Rain still pouring, emergency lights still depressing, but the ice was gone. Her skin was back to normal, except for a faint blue glow at her fingertips. She focused her mind, and a tiny ice crystal bloomed from her finger. Not a weapon, a flower. 6 petals, perfectly clear, edges glowing soft blue, slowly spinning on her fingertip like it was alive. She stared at it, completely confused. I leaned against the wall and dropped the knowledge. Ice crystal grass. One of the rarest abilities in the apocalypse. She turned to look at me. It's a support type ability. Heals wounds, purifies toxins, slows down injuries from getting worse. It symbolizes hope born from ice. Congratulations, you're literally Saint Mary now. I couldn't resist adding. Since it's ice-based, you can shoot little ice needles too. But the attack power is. Let's say you won't be winning any fights with it. She looked at her little ice flower for a long time. Healing? Hope. After everything that just happened, destruction and creation really can coexist inside one person. Then she asked quietly, "Why did you save me?" I grinned. "Didn't you ask me to?" "Save me. Li Chang'e, save me hard." Ring any bells? Her face turned tomato red instantly. Beautiful. But she understood the real answer. Useful stays. Useless goes. She had powers now. She qualified as useful. Meanwhile, I noticed something interesting inside my own body. A tiny thread of cold energy that wasn't there before. During that whole process, our abilities had created some kind of resonance. My fire felt slightly more concentrated, more solid than before. I looked at Lin Wei with new eyes. Architect brain, healing powers, and the ability to boost other people's abilities? That last one was the real treasure. That garbage Liu Chang. In my past life, he had Lin Wei by his side this whole time. No wonder his power levels climbed so fast. That lucky dog stumbled into a gold mine and didn't even know it. Lin Wei broke the silence. What do we do next? 2 words from me. Sleep. Next day, rain still hammering down, but the tsunami water had dropped. Rooftops were poking out of the flood, with tiny human shapes huddled on some of them. Down on the 15th floor of Hangqing Tower, survivors were packed together like sardines. Office workers in suits, residents in pajamas, mothers clutching babies. Everyone sharing body heat against the cold, sharing silence against the fear. Then a woman screamed, grabbed her head, and collapsed. People jumped back. She convulsed on the floor, white foam pouring from her mouth, fingernails clawing her own face open, leaving bloody streaks. The sounds coming out of her weren't human. Some old guy scrambled backward. I didn't touch her. Everyone saw. I didn't touch her. 2 minutes later, she stopped twitching. Dead silence. Nobody dared approach. Then she moved. She stood up like a broken puppet, head drooping, neck twisted at a wrong angle, eyes clouded over to milky gray white, foam still dripping from her chin. She lunged at the nearest guy, a big dude, over 160 pounds. He tried to push her off, but couldn't. Humans who turn into zombies get their strength multiplied. She bit his face and ripped a chunk clean off. Blood sprayed the walls, sprayed the horrified faces watching. He punched her. She didn't feel it. She swallowed the meat. You could hear the gulp, and went for his throat next. Blood fountained. He went limp. Total chaos erupted. Screaming, crying, stampeding. People trampling each other, crawling on all fours, legs too weak to run. Same thing happening everywhere in the building. Floor 17. A middle-aged man's eyes going gray-white, biting someone's calf. Floor 23. A mother shielding her baby while the neighbor who'd been helping her moments ago opened his bloody mouth behind her. She had to drop the child and run, listening to chewing sounds behind her. Floor 30 rooftop. Survivors pushing a turned companion off the building, but one of them had a bite mark on his arm already turning black. And across the entire city, waterlogged corpses were standing up in the ruins. Bloated, pale, some missing half their faces, some dragging their guts on the ground. But they stood, turned their stiff necks, listened for screams, and started walking. Global synchronization. The zombie age had officially begun. I didn't rush to leave the tower over the next 2 days. The rain carried a virus, couldn't hurt ability users, but it would mess with power development. I was waiting for the extreme cold to arrive. That's when we'd move. Meanwhile, I put Lin Wei to work building a barricade at the 28th floor stairwell entrance. Filing cabinets, desks, water coolers, even a couple of dead copy machines, stacked up layer by layer, sealed tight. Lin Wei gave me a look that could curdle milk. I'm a refined, intellectual beauty. You really feel okay bossing me around like a pack mule? I didn't even turn around. The apocalypse doesn't feed freeloaders, she pouted. But she kept stacking. Weird thing about Lin Wei. She stopped complaining about being bossed around. Maybe because her new powers made her stronger, so hauling furniture wasn't that hard anymore. Maybe because. Other reasons. One time she finished dragging the last cabinet into place and collapsed against the wall, gasping. I walked over and handed her a bottle of clean water. She blinked, took it, and whispered, "Thanks." I said nothing, turned around, and went back to welding. Yeah, welding. With my bare hands. I was using my fire ability to fuse thumb-thick steel bars onto the door frame, one by one. Better than any welding torch on the planet. Behind that door, the stairwell, and everything horrible below. Inside, our little 28th floor fortress. Lin Wei watched me work, sipped her water, and I could practically feel her thinking. Okay, maybe this terrifying murder machine isn't so bad. Lady, I'm not the scary thing here. The scary things are downstairs. May 20th, day 4 of the apocalypse. The building's survivor count nosedived from 3,000 to under 300. Infection, escape attempts, death. Every hallway was littered with bodies. Some still twitching, some permanently quiet. The survivors clawed their way upward, dodging zombies floor by floor, until they reached the 28th floor and saw my masterpiece. A steel door welded shut with bars so thick and tight a tank couldn't get through. Faint light leaking from inside. They lost their minds. Someone's in there. Open up, there are zombies behind US. Let US in, please. I'll get on my knees. I woke up annoyed. Had to peel Lin Wei off me. The woman slept like an octopus and shuffled to the door. It's the crack of dawn. What's all the yelling about? Peek through the gaps between the steel bars. Dozens of filthy, terrified faces staring back at me. Some crying, some screaming, some pressing their faces against the bars like they were trying to squeeze through. Further down the stairwell, zombie growls echoing upward. Getting closer. Some guy was hammering on the door, face covered in a lovely cocktail of tears and sweat. "Bro, please. This door is so strong the zombies can't break through. Let us in." I looked at him. "Why should I?" He froze. Didn't have an answer for that one. My eyes swept across the crowd and stopped on a dirty woman in the back. Lu Ruyan. Gone was the stunning beauty. Her hair was matted into greasy clumps, face streaked with grime and sweat. That expensive dress was wrinkled and plastered to her body, the hem stained with someone else's blood. But those eyes, still bright. Bright in that uncomfortable, calculating way. She recognized me too. First surprise, then her lips slowly curved into a smile. I could almost hear the gears turning in her head. Lee Changa, the simp? He's got a secure door, a safe zone, and a woman. She glanced at Lin Wei, and I caught the flash of contempt. That plain thing, standing next to my old lapdog? She leaned over to Lu Fei and whispered, "Fei Ji, that guy is the Lee Changa I always told you about. The one who used to chase me like crazy." Lu Fei's eyes lit up. Lee Changa, the guy who slapped him at Golden Tripod. But grudges could wait. What mattered was the connection. Lu Ruyan knew me. That was their golden ticket. Lu Fei shoved through the crowd to the front, face still wearing that insufferable rich boy arrogance, even covered in dirt. "Li Changa. It's me, Lu Fei. We met at Golden Tripod. No hard feelings, right?" He yanked Lu Ruyan forward and presented her like a product. "Look who it is. Lu Ruyan, the girl you used to chase. She's with me now, but hey, we're all old friends here. You can't just let us die." Lu Ruyan stumbled forward, quickly switched to her signature move, the pitiful damsel eyes. "Academy Award material. Changa." Her voice went soft and teary. "I know I was wrong before, but it's the apocalypse now. Can't we let the past go? Let us in and I'll do anything you say." Real tears rolling down her cheeks. Maybe real, maybe not. With her, you never know. My expression didn't change. Not a millimeter. I looked at Lu Ruyan, looked at Lu Fei, looked away. Done talking? They both froze. Done talking? Then scram. Lu Fei's face went purple. He tried to hold it in. Failed. "Lee Changa, don't push your luck. The whole building is crawling with zombies. If we die out here, you won't escape either." Then he reached into his jacket with shaking hands and pulled out a black bank card, holding it up like it was Excalibur. The card gleamed under the emergency lights, matte black with gold lettering. A Centurion black card. "I'll give you 1 million. And oh, 10 million. His voice bounced off every wall in the stairwell, dripping with hysterical superiority. "You couldn't earn that much in your entire life. Open this door, and the card is yours." He threw the card on the ground like he was tossing a coin to a beggar. Every survivor in the hallway stared at that card. A black card. The legendary unlimited balance black card. The thing they'd only ever seen on TV. Someone actually gulped. Then, ha ha ha, I laughed. Full belly laugh. Doubled over. Tears forming. Couldn't stop. Lu Fei froze. Lu Ruyan froze. Every single person in that hallway froze. I straightened up, still grinning. Looked at Lu Fei and his precious little card. "Money?" My voice dripped with a flavor of irony I didn't even know I had. "It's literally the end of the world, and you're waving a credit card at me." Lu Fei's face twitched, but he doubled down, neck stiff with pride. "This is a black card. 10 million. You've never seen this much money in your pathetic life." I ignored Lu Fei and his precious credit card, turned to face the crowd instead, and raised my voice. "Everyone out there, listen up." The hallway went quiet. All eyes on me. I held up one finger. One bread roll. My voice was calm, crystal clear. "Whoever kills this man for me gets one bread roll. Dead." Silence. Lu Fei blinked. Then he laughed, louder than I did. "A bread roll? Ha 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 ha. Lee Changa, are you insane? One bread roll for my life?" He spun around to face the crowd, arms spread wide like a CEO, giving a keynote. "Did you all hear that? One bread roll. To kill me. Lu Fei, of the Hangqing Lu family. My father is chairman of the Zhejiang Business Association. My mother sits on the board of a public company. This disaster will end eventually. And when it does, think very carefully about what happens to people who cross the Lu family." His voice was dripping with confidence. The crowd went silent. Nobody moved. People looked at each other, looked at Lu Fei, looked at me. Some lowered their heads. Some step backward. Right. Disasters end. The Liu family would still be the Liu family. Can't afford to make that enemy. Liu Fei smirked at me. See? You think you're pathetic little bread. I cut him off. One bread roll. I keep my word. Doesn't matter when. Bring me Liu Fei's head, and you get a bread roll. Same flat voice. Same calm delivery. Still nobody moved. That was fine. I wasn't in a rush. I could kill Liu Fei right now if I wanted. But where's the fun in that? Cat and mouse games are better when the mouse has time to sweat. Liu Fei was getting uncomfortable under my stare, though. He barked. Enough talk. Let us in. If we die out here, you think you'll survive? The crowd got riled up again, pointing fingers at me, calling me heartless. I almost rolled my eyes. You think I can't survive? I pointed at my welded steel door, then pointed at the zombie screams getting louder down the stairwell. This door stops zombies. You people standing out there? You attract zombies. If you die, the zombies eat their fill and maybe stop climbing. So remind me, why exactly would I let you in? Liu Fei's face drained of color. Liu Rian's too. The whole hallway went cemetery quiet. Just zombie howls getting closer. I turned and walked away. Tossed one last line over my shoulder. Stop knocking. Next time you bang on this door, it becomes your coffin lid. The knocking stopped instantly. Behind me, crying, cursing, people shoving past each other trying to climb higher. Liu Fei yelled for everyone to go to the 29th floor and barricade that entrance instead. Then, boom. The stairwell door below blew open. Zombies. A flood of them. Gray faces, hollow eyes, mouths full of black blood, pouring through like a dam broke. Run. RUN. The crowd exploded. Everyone stampeding upward. Liu Fei and Liu Ruyan got swept along, stumbling and crashing their way up the stairs. The zombie wave hit my iron door. The first one used to be a businessman, still wearing a suit, half his face missing, bare jawbone showing. He slammed into the door so hard the whole frame shook. Second zombie. Third. Fourth. They piled on, biting the steel bars, scraping their fingernails across the metal with sounds that made my teeth hurt, like nails on a chalkboard crossed with bones grinding together. Linwei backed up, face white as paper. She watched one zombie's teeth snap off on the bars, black blood streaming down, and it kept biting. Her legs went wobbly. That's when I slapped her butt. Smack. She went rigid, hands flying to cover her rear, and spun around to glare at me. I kept a perfectly straight face. Hey cutie. Time to work. She was about to unleash on me when she saw my right hand go up. 5 fingers spread. A tiny flame dancing on each fingertip. 5 crimson flowers in a row. I flicked my hand casually. 5 fire seeds sailed through the gaps in the steel bars and landed, one each, right between the eyes of the 5 front row zombies. Poof. Quiet little sound. All 5 stopped moving simultaneously. Then their heads exploded from the inside. No bang, just black blood mist spraying from my sockets, ears, and mouths. 5 bodies collapsed in a pile. Linwei was staring. In the blood mist, something small had clinked on the floor. Tiny white crystals, rice grains sized. What are those? She asked. I didn't answer. Just raised my hand again. 5 more flames. 5 more zombies down. Rinse and repeat. I stood behind that iron door like a precision killing machine on an assembly line. Every wave of the hand, 5 zombies dropped. Every flame hit dead center between the eyes. Every single one a kill shot. If zombies had lives to take. Linwei watched my back. Later she told me I had zero expression while doing it. No excitement, no fear, no disgust. Like I was filing paperwork. Just clocking in. Eventually it got quiet outside. The hallway beyond the door was carpeted with zombie corpses. Black blood pooling everywhere, running down the stairs in little rivers. The air was a delightful perfume of rotting fish and burnt toast. I lowered my hand and rolled my wrist. Crystal cores, I said, answering her earlier question. I cracked the door open just enough to squeeze through, walked to the nearest corpse, crouched down, and pinched a tiny white pellet out of the black blood puddle. Rice grain-sized, semi-transparent, faintly glowing under the emergency light. I looked at it and chuckled. Linwei couldn't read that laugh. Nostalgic? Complicated? Both. Cores this low level, my voice got soft. Haven't seen these in a long time. Linwei blinked. A long time? The apocalypse was 4 days old. How could I have not seen them in a long time? I pocketed the core, kicked a relatively intact zombie body over, and pulled out a small knife. crouched down and lined it up with the zombie's forehead. Watch carefully, knife in, straight down from between the eyes. Twist and pry. Crack. Skull split open. Knife tip flicked upward. A white crystal covered in blood and brain goop popped out and bounced on the floor. Lin Wei's stomach did a backflip. She slapped her hand over her mouth, turned away, and dry heaved. I stood up, picked up the core, and dangled it in front of her face. Then I tossed the knife at her feet. Got it. The rest of the bodies are yours. Lin Wei looked at the blood-crusted knife, then at the 40-plus zombie corpses outside, and her face went from white to transparent. I'm not doing that. She backed up. I can't. I looked at her, kept my voice nice and calm. Lin Wei, what do you think the apocalypse is? Hiding somewhere safe waiting for room service? Seeing blood and saying nope, pass? The zombies out there multiply every day. Crystal cores get more valuable every day. You don't harvest them, you don't get resources. No resources, you don't get stronger. Don't get stronger, and you become one of them. Her lips trembled. She knew I was right, but she was still scared. I sighed. Actually sighed. Then I grabbed a stack of plastic bags and started wrapping her fingers, thumb, index, middle, layer after layer until her hands looked like rice dumplings. Then I dug through my backpack, found a pile of disposable masks, and strapped them onto her face. 1, 2, 3, until only her eyeballs were visible. She looked down at her mummy-wrapped fingers, touched the mask fortress on her face, and mumbled through 6 layers of fabric. I can't even bend my fingers anymore. You can. Good enough. I stepped back and admired my creation. She glared at me through the only visible part of her face. But she went. First body. She crouched down, shaking like a leaf in a hurricane. Eyes squeezed shut. She stabbed. Too shallow, barely broke the skin. Blood oozed out. She took a deep breath and stabbed again. Deeper this time, but she couldn't find the right spot. Knife rattling around inside the skull like she was stirring soup. Nothing came out. She stood up, ran to the side, and dry heaved for a solid minute. I leaned against the doorframe, watched, said nothing. She wiped her mouth, walked back, did it again. Second body, third, fourth. Slowly, she got the hang of it. The right entry point, the right leverage, the right flicking angle. By the 6th core dropping into her plastic bag, she realized something. She wasn't throwing up anymore. She stared at the bag of bloody white pellets, then at her dumpling hands, then at the remaining pile of corpses. A few hours ago, she couldn't watch someone die without trembling. Now she was elbow deep in zombie skulls mining for crystals. Life comes at you fast. 40-something cores. 2 hours of work. When the last one clinked into the bag, she collapsed on the floor, gasping like she'd run a marathon. After she rested, I placed 1 core in her palm and closed her fingers around it. Focus your mind. Feel the energy. She closed her eyes. A moment later, the crystal glowed faintly. A thin stream of energy flowed up her arm and into her forehead. Her eyes snapped open. I felt it. I nodded. Not bad talent. 1 level. 1 core took her 20 minutes to absorb. Took me 2. After she finished absorbing, I explained, you're level 1 right now. Need 50 cores to hit level 2. Plenty of level 1 zombies wandering around out there. She looked out the window. Rain still pouring, lightning cracking the sky. Actual end-of-the-world weather. She spent the whole evening absorbing cores. Then I dropped the bomb. Tomorrow, we go out and kill zombies. Building's still full of stragglers. Kill them now while it's easy. 1 kill, 1 profit. Lin Wei froze. Go. Out there, she did not want to go. Those things made her knees buckle from a distance, let alone up close. But my next words shut her up. Right now, those other survivors have no idea there are crystals inside zombie brains. That's our information advantage. Once they figure it out, every zombie in this building gets snatched up. Plus, zombies get stronger just by breathing. We need crystals to level up, but they evolve automatically every single day. Kill them now while they're weak, because later, you won't be able to. No adaptation period. This is the apocalypse. She went quiet. Then, so, what's my job? I thought about it very seriously. You throw ice needles and kill zombies. You extract cores. And I, dramatic pause. Cheer you on. Her eyes went wide. Also, it's training for you. I added helpfully. You're welcome. That night, Lin Wei was absolutely furious. Cheer me on. Training? She was out there killing zombies and digging through brains while I stood with my arms crossed watching, like a sports commentator at a zombie massacre. She decided to teach me a lesson about messing with women. As for the results of that lesson, next morning, Lin Wei crawled out of the makeshift bed holding her lower back and shot me a death glare. I kept a perfectly innocent face. Who started it last night? Her face went crimson. She refused to speak to me. Daytime routine. Hunt zombies in the building. Lin Wei threw ice needles, extracted cores, worked herself half to death. I contributed. Vocal support. Left. Left. Yeah, that's it. One behind you. Nice shot. Every time she heard my coaching, she wanted to lodge an ice needle in my forehead. But here's the weird part. Her powers were actually growing fast. From missing every shot to simultaneously forming 3 ice needles in just 3 days. Evenings, she absorbed cores while I kept watch. Sometimes handed her water. Sometimes a cracker. Sometimes a, good job today, then. Next morning, she'd be holding her back again. After several days, her ability level broke through to level 2. Meanwhile, I'd hit level 3. After level 3, these low-grade cores are useless. I looked out the window. The real challenge is just starting. I did the math in my head. The extreme cold would arrive tonight at midnight. A lot of people were going to freeze to death. My fire abilities and Lin Wei's ice type made us basically cold-proof. But I still sent her to collect winter coats from around the building. Better safe than sorry. She asked, "What do we need these for?" I didn't explain. Just said, "You'll find out tonight." May 26th. The rain finally stopped. Water levels dropped by 2/3. You could actually see the city's outline again. The survivors on the 29th floor breathed a sigh of relief. They'd gotten lucky these past few days. Found a live-stream shopping company's warehouse on their floor, packed with unsold snacks. Chips, cookies, self-heating hot pots. The apocalypse's most ironic care package. Meanwhile, 1 floor above me, Lu Fei was living his best life. That snack warehouse the 29th floor survivors found. Enough chips, cookies, and self-heating hot pots to feed a few dozen people for a while. And Lu Fei, using that silver tongue he'd polished as a rich second-generation kid, appointed himself leader in about 3 sentences flat. Everyone, crisis times. We need unified resource management. I'm Lu Fei, Hangqing Lu family. Trust me, and when this disaster ends, everyone gets compensated. He held up 3 fingers with maximum dramatic flair. 3 million per person. Some bought it. Some didn't. Some were excited. Some had a bad feeling in their gut. Nobody spoke up against him, though. That evening, the rain finally stopped. They celebrated like it was New Year's. The apocalypse is over. Once the water drops, we can go home. Laughing, crying, people clutching their last bag of chips like it was gold. Lu Fei stood by the window, watching the floodwaters recede, smirking to himself. When this was over, he'd still be Hongqing's top rich kid. As for those 3 million promises? Yeah, sure, absolutely. Wink. Then, because the universe has a fantastic sense of timing, a guy who'd been quietly squatting in the corner suddenly raised his head. Gray-white eyes. He pounced on the nearest person and bit into their neck. Screaming. Chaos. Party over. The virus was spreading even faster after the rain. Not far from my building, at the government office tower, a woman named Zhou Baiwan was having the worst week of her career. She was a cop, sitting in mud, uniform so filthy you couldn't tell what color it used to be. An old man had pointed at her nose yesterday and screamed, "You police are supposed to protect people. People are starving. What are you doing?" She had no answer. Because she genuinely hadn't been able to do anything. The government building survived the tsunami, solid construction, obviously. But when the virus hit, half the survivors inside turned zombie. Luckily, there was an armory in the building, and her fellow officers fought like absolute heroes. Many died so others could live. Now the new crisis was food. Almost nothing left. People were turning on her, demanding she go outside and find supplies. 2 colleagues went out that morning to scavenge. They hadn't come back. She knew they probably never would. Then, bang, 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 something smashing against the door. Zhou Baiwan grabbed her baton instantly. Everyone went silent. They all recognized that sound. Zombies. Quiet, she whispered. She sent experienced survivors to barricade the door. The banging faded. Someone sighed in relief. But Zhou Baiwan frowned. Zombies don't give up that easy. Unless, crash. 3 zombies smashed through the window. Soaking wet, bloated skin, milky dead eyes. They hit the floor and immediately lunged, screaming everywhere. A man got tackled, throat bitten, blood spraying. A mother holding her baby got grabbed by the ankle. She threw the child clear and got dragged into the pile of corpses. The sounds that followed were chewing. Zhou Baiwan noticed these zombies were smarter than before. Faster, stronger. They were evolving. She raised her pistol, pulled the trigger. Click, click, click. Empty. No bullets left. She gritted her teeth, grabbed the baton, and charged. Sidestep, crouch, swing, baton cracking a zombie's kneecap. It fell forward. She hammered the back of its skull. Crunch. Black blood on her pants. Second zombie lunging before she could breathe. She dodged, kicked it in the gut, then uppercut its jaw with the baton. It fell backward. She jumped on it and smashed its forehead. Third, fourth. Other survivors finally joined in. A guy smashing a water cooler on a zombie's back, a middle-aged woman pinning one down with a mop handle. When the last zombie dropped, Zhou Baiwan was covered head to toe in blood, black and red mixed together, impossible to tell whose was whose. She slumped against the wall, gasping, chest heaving. Her baton slipped from her fingers and clattered on the floor. "Captain Zhou, are you hurt?" A young officer ran over. But most survivors kept their distance, watching her with suspicious eyes, worried she'd been bitten. She shook her head, couldn't speak. She dragged herself to the broken window. Cold wind blew and carrying the stench of post-flood rot. She stared at the receding waters, and a voice echoed in her memory. "Officer Zhou, you're so pretty. What would you do if the apocalypse came? Treat me nicely, and I might give you a bag of instant noodles." Back then she thought it was an insult. She was Zhou Baiwan, rising star of Hangqing Police, daughter of a provincial official. A bag of noodles? Please. But now, she looked back at the people behind her. The mother whose child hadn't eaten in 2 days, tiny face gray, eyes barely open. The old man who'd screamed at her yesterday, now curled in a corner, lips cracked, staring at nothing like a corpse that forgot to lie down. Her dead colleagues whose last words were, "Captain, run," before getting torn apart. A bag of noodles. Maybe not noodles. Maybe a lifeline. That jerk had a modified car, food, water. He was too calm, too prepared. He knew something she didn't. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath. When she opened them, her expression had changed. Not surrender, decision. She stood up, shook the numbness out of her legs, and looked out the window. In the distance, Hangqing Tower stood among the ruins like a lonely pillar. She remembered, that jerk had headed in that direction. I need to flag something before summarizing. This chapter contains sexual humiliation and coercion used as entertainment by the protagonist, plus revenge pornography. I'll cover the events, but won't frame sexual degradation as comedy. Bang 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 on my iron door. Again. "Chang'e, please save me." It's Rian, Lu Rian's voice, shrill and desperate, echoing through the stairwell. She was screaming that Lu Fei was going to assault her, that she barely escaped, begging me to let her in. I leaned back in my chair and smirked. Lin Wei stood nearby, glancing between me and the door. Her lips moved like she wanted to say something, but couldn't quite get it out. I raised an eyebrow. Saintly urges acting up again? She shook her head, embarrassed. I told Lin Wei I'd bet her anything that Lu Fei's people were hiding around the corner, waiting for me to open the door so they could rush in and take everything. She turned red, but didn't argue. I peered through the gaps in the steel bars. Lu Rian looked terrible. 6 days had destroyed whatever glamour she'd once had. Matted hair, tear-streaked muddy face, expensive dress torn in multiple places, hem-stained. With black blood, she reached through the bars trying to grab my sleeve, begging, crying, saying she was wrong before, that she had nowhere left to go. The tears were real. The fear was real. The desperation was real. But behind all of it, I caught something, a cold flash in her eyes. Calculating. Measuring. The look of someone making sure their performance gets results. "Lu Rian," I said calmly, "your acting has always been good, but not good enough." Her crying hitched for just a second. What follows is Li Chang'e sexually humiliating Lu Rian as a condition for entry, forcing her to degrade herself with a cucumber while he watches. Lin Wei witnesses this from behind him and recognizes her own experience in what's happening to this woman. Lu Fei was hiding around the stairwell corner the whole time, watching. His face went purple with rage, not at the degradation itself, but because Lu Ruyan had been playing innocent with him. He wanted to charge out and kill us both, but he forced himself to wait for the door to open. Then it happened, the metallic scrape of a door bolt sliding. My footsteps. Lu Fei's eyes lit up. He burst from cover, brick in hand, screaming, "Get him!" A dozen people charged behind him toward the open door. I was standing right beside it. My right hand flipped over, and a silver desert eagle appeared in my palm. Bang, 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 bang. 5 shots, nearly simultaneous. 5 thugs in front dropped instantly, blood spreading beneath them. The rest hit the floor, some screaming and running, some collapsing and wetting themselves on the spot. Lu Fei froze, face chalk white. A gun. This maniac had a gun. His brick clattered to the ground. He dropped to his knees. Hands up, Lord Li. Mercy. We were blind. I ignored his begging. Instead, I pulled out my phone, opened a video, and tossed it on the ground. Lu Fei picked it up with shaking hands. One glance and his face turned to iron. The video showed Lu Ruyan with a man, partially censored, but the man's face was clearly mine. Lu Fei looked at the video, then looked at Lu Ruyan still crouching on the ground, and completely lost it. "You dirty. I thought you were innocent this whole time, and you were his all along." Lu Ruyan saw the phone, realized what had happened, and scrambled over to grab it. I backhanded her across the face before she got close. She hit the floor, blood on her lip, screaming that I'd get what's coming to me. I didn't even glance at her. Turned the gun back to Lu Fei. He was smashing his forehead against the concrete, begging, "Lord Li. Mercy. I'll give you anything." I smiled. "Next life, don't mess with people you shouldn't." Bang. 1 bullet. Right through the forehead. Lu Fei toppled backward, eyes still wide open. The rich boy's story ended on a dirty stairwell floor. Then, footsteps from the end of the hallway. "Stop," a hoarse female voice. Zhou Baiwan came stumbling around the corner, looking like she'd crawled through a war zone. Torn uniform, mud-caked face, absolute wreck. She saw the bodies, saw my gun, and her pupils shrank to dots. "Li Chang'e, you've lost your mind." I ignored her. Turned the gun toward Lu Ruyan. She was shaking on the ground. I looked down at her, cold as winter. "Lu Ruyan, you don't know yet. Your brother Lu Chang is dead. His fiancée beat him to death with a steel pipe." One swing at a time, her eyes went wide, then red. She let out an animal scream and lunged at me. "Give me back my brother." Bang. 7th shot. A red flower bloomed on her chest. She looked down at it in disbelief, then crumpled. Zhou Baiwan stood frozen. 2 fresh corpses. My smoking gun barrel. Her cop instincts kicked in. "Li Chang'e, you will be judged for this." I turned around, pointed the gun at her forehead, smiled the kind of smile that makes people reconsider their life choices. "Judged? Nobody in this world can judge me." I stepped closer. "Kneel." The black barrel aimed right between her eyes. Her heart was practically audible, cold sweat running down her back. But this woman, I had to give her credit. She was thinking. Those sharp eyes locked onto my gun, and I could see the math happening behind them. Desert Eagle. Standard magazine, 7 rounds. First volley, 5 shots. Lu Fei 1. Lu Ruyan 1. Total, 7. She looked me dead in the eyes and said, "I'm betting your gun is empty." I raised an eyebrow. Oh, her legs were shaking, but she stepped forward instead of back. "Desert Eagle. 7-round capacity. You just fired 7. You're bluffing." She slowly walked up and pressed her forehead against the barrel. I looked down at her and smirked. Brave and brainless. Bang. I fired into the ceiling. Bang. Again. Bang bang. 2 more. 4 shots into the ceiling. Concrete dust raining down. I grinned. "So, Officer Zhou, want to guess how many are left now?" The barrel pointed at her face again. Her heart skipped. For more shots from a gun that should have been empty. Her ears were ringing, so bad her brain temporarily blue-screened. But she was fast. The gears started turning again almost immediately. Empty. It had to be empty now. If he wanted to kill her, he would have done it when she walked in, not played games. He was testing her. She took a deep breath, stepped forward again, and pressed her forehead against the still warm, smoke-smelling barrel. "I'm not just betting your gun is empty," she said, word by word. "I'm betting on you." I laughed. Light. Quiet. The kind of laugh that apparently made her spine tingle. "Oh, I'm a cold-blooded killer who doesn't blink." My fingers slowly squeezed the trigger. The mechanical friction sound was audible in the silence, like death clearing its throat. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. Click. Empty. I put the gun away and waved casually. You win, Officer Zhou. So, what do you want? Her legs gave out. She nearly collapsed, caught herself on the wall, and just breathed for 2 solid minutes. Sweat had soaked through her blue and white police shirt completely. When she finally straightened up, she looked at me like someone about to swallow the most bitter pill of their life. Long pause. The government building. There are still hundreds of people there. No food. No water. 3 days left at most. She couldn't continue. Her throat locked up. This was Zhou Baiwan, rising star of Hangqing Police, daughter of a provincial official. She had never asked anyone for help in her entire life. And now she was begging a man she'd once wanted to arrest. I listened. Blinked. Wait. You want me to find food and water for hundreds of people? My brain short-circuited for a second. This woman made Lin Wei look like a beginner saint. This was championship-level savior complex. This was a disease. Hundreds of strangers. No food. No water. And she's starving herself to keep them alive. A cold laugh escaped me. And why exactly is this my problem? Zhou Baiwan surged forward. They're living, breathing people. You can't just let them die. Why can't I let them die? I walked toward her. Give me one reason. Zhou Baiwan backed up a step but kept her chin up. Because you're a person. You have the ability, so you should be everyone's blood bag. I grabbed her wrist and pinned her against the wall. She tried to fight back, but days of starvation and zombie fighting had drained her to nothing. She pushed my chest, couldn't budge me. Kicked my legs. I didn't even bother dodging. I studied her face up close. Once pristine and proud, sharp eyes like blades. Now exhausted, lips cracked, skin rough from dehydration. You want me to feed those leeches? I asked again. She turned away. They're not leeches. They're ordinary people. Old people, children, women. They just want to survive. In the apocalypse. I cut her off. Human life is the cheapest commodity. I grabbed her chin, made her look at me. Fine. You want supplies? I'll give you supplies. Her struggling paused. Before the earthquake I told you, serve me once, get 1 bag of instant noodles. I paused, pretending to calculate very seriously. 100-something people. Let's call it 150. 7 days of food. 1 bag of noodles per person per day. That's 1,050 bags. 1 bag per serving. You'd need to serve me 1,050 times. I leaned close to her ear. Once a day? About 3 years. Around the clock? Year and a half. Her face went red, then white, then red again. She understood perfectly. She was Zhou Baiwan, youngest squad captain in Hangqing Police, daughter of a ministry-level official. Rich heirs had lined up to date her, and she wouldn't give them a second glance. And now some guy was offering her noodles for that. She ripped free of my grip, chest heaving. In your dreams, she stormed toward the door, walking so fast she was practically running, like she was afraid she'd turn back and cuss me out if she slowed down. But at the doorway, her feet stopped. Just for a second. One tiny hesitation. Then she shoved the door open and disappeared into the cold. Lin Wei walked over. Think she'll come back? Yep. I lay back down in my chair. Extreme cold hits tonight. Those people have no food, no water, no warmth. They'll push her until she breaks. They'll squeeze out every last drop she has, then complain she wasn't useful enough. I knew this pattern intimately. It was my exact story from my past life. Killing zombies, giving crystals to Lu Chong, giving supplies to Lu Ruyan, and getting pushed into a zombie horde as thanks. Zhou Baiwan had the most advanced case of savior syndrome I'd ever seen. Worse than Lin Wei. If Lin Wei was a cold, this woman had full-blown pneumonia. In the apocalypse, that's a terminal illness. That afternoon, the temperature plummeted. Not gradually. Someone flipped the world's heater off. North wind screaming through broken windows like razor blades. I'd already pulled Lin Wei into our tiny 2-square-meter partition room. Concrete walls held heat well, and I pulled a thick velvet blanket from my storage space. We bundled up and settled in for the night. Meanwhile, at the government building, over 100 people crammed into one conference room, pressed together body to body for warmth. The air was a nightmare cocktail of sweat, feet, and worse. Wind howling through shattered windows, every crack a death sentence. A little girl peeked out from her mother's arms. Mommy, I'm cold and hungry. That single sentence was a match dropped on gasoline. Every eye in the room swiveled to Zhou Baiwan, curled up in her corner wearing nothing but a thin police jacket, lips purple from cold. She'd come back from my building hours earlier. When they asked about food, she just said, didn't find any. Now the lie was crumbling. A middle-aged woman started. Officer Zhou, is there really nothing left in this building? The temperature's about to drop below zero. You need to do something. When is rescue coming? People are going to die. Zhou Baiwan opened her mouth to explain. But what could she say? Yeah, there's food at Hangxing Tower, but the guy wants me to sleep with him 1,050 times for it. Then a woman's voice cut through, sharp as glass. Officer Zhou, you went to Hangxing Tower this afternoon. That building is huge. There must be food. Why didn't you bring any back? Don't tell me you found some and kept it for yourself. The room exploded. Exactly. You were gone for hours. You definitely found something. Bring it back. You're a COP. You can't abandon us. What kind of police officer watches people die? Zhou Baiwan's face flushed, then went ghostly pale. She tried to defend herself, but her voice drowned under wave after wave of accusations. The same faces that had thanked her days ago, now twisted with suspicion and resentment. She suddenly remembered what I'd said. Those leeches aren't worth it. She'd thought I was heartless. Now, an old man in his 60s leaned against the wall, cradling a 5-year-old boy. The child's eyes were half shut, face gray, lips cracked and peeling. Officer Zhou, the old man's voice came out in broken whispers, like he was spending his last breath on each word. My grandson hasn't eaten in 3 days. The old man's words hung in the air. His grandson hadn't eaten in 3 days. The kid who'd called Zhou Baiwan, police auntie, yesterday could barely open his eyes today. Zhou Baiwan cried. Then she stood up and said 2 words. I'll go. The crowd went quiet. She walked toward the door. Nobody stopped her. Nobody offered to go with her. They just watched, eyes full of expectation, relief, and that unmistakable look of glad it's her and not me. She pushed the door open. The Arctic wind hit her like a wall of knives. She staggered, caught the wall, kept walking. Her police uniform was paper-thin against the cold, teeth chattering, whole body shaking. Behind her, the people were already fighting over the half a cookie she'd left, her own emergency ration she'd been hiding for 2 days, arguing about who got the bigger crumb. She walked down the long, dark corridor alone, tears freezing on her cheeks, not knowing if it was worth it, not knowing if they'd be grateful, not knowing if she'd survive the night. 20-something years of pride, crushed underfoot with every step. Ahead, Hangxing Tower, me, and 1,050 bags of noodles. I just settled in with Lin Wei when I heard weak knocking at the iron door. Human hands, not zombie fists, feeble but urgent. I threw on clothes and went to check. Zhou Baiwan stood outside, looking like she'd walked through a freezer for fun. Purple lips, frost on her eyelashes, frostbite patches on her face. Fingers white and curled, too stiff to straighten. Her whole body convulsing with shivers so loud I could hear her teeth from inside. I unbolted the door. She stumbled in, nearly face-planted, caught the wall, and just breathed, white clouds of condensation billowing from her mouth. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Well, Officer Zhou, house call at this hour. She lifted her head, eyes fogged over, sunken, ringed with purple from sleeplessness. Her voice came out like gravel. I'm here. To honor the deal. Which deal? She bit her lip hard enough to draw blood. The taste seemed to sharpen her focus. 1,050 times. You keep your word, I smiled. Always. I stepped aside. She walked in, head down, one foot after another. She passed Lin Wei. Stopped for a second. Didn't look at her. Lin Wei said nothing and quietly closed the partition door. Inside, I raised my hand. A crimson flame appeared in my palm, floating and spinning in midair. The temperature in the room rose instantly, warm air washing over Zhou Baiwan's frozen face, fingers, body, like invisible hands thawing her out. She stared at the hovering flame, stunned. She'd never seen anything like it. Fire burning in someone's palm, suspended in air, spinning like it was alive. Her first encounter with supernatural abilities, the stuff of movies, right in front of her. I sat down on the couch and waited. She stood frozen. Then her legs started shaking, not from cold anymore, but from fear. She closed her eyes, thought about her father, the stern official who'd raised her to be upright and clean. About everything she'd been taught. About who she was, Zhou Baiwan, the untouchable rising star that powerful men couldn't get a second glance from. All of it gone. She made her choice. For the people waiting in that freezing conference room. 3 hours later, the partition door opened. I walked out, rolling my neck. Zhou Baiwan followed, head down, walking crooked. She held the wall with every step like it took everything she had. Her face was blank, but her eyes were raw red. I looked at her and said, "For what it's worth." I walked to the storage room and brought out 3 cardboard boxes, stacking them on the floor one by one. Each box printed with familiar red characters. Master Kong braised beef instant noodles. 3 full cases. Zhou Baiwan stared at them. I dusted off my hands. "Go on." She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. We brought the 3 boxes of noodles to the government building. The second Zhou Baiwan pushed open that conference room door, it was like throwing steak into a piranha tank. Food. It's food. Instant noodles. People swarmed. Fingernails ripping open packaging, boxes flipped over, people shoved to the floor and getting right back up to keep grabbing. Zhou Baiwan got crushed into the corner, holding the wall just to stay upright. A middle-aged woman snatched 2 packs and clutched them like they were newborn babies, eyes darting around at everyone else like a wolf guarding a kill. Some guy who couldn't grab any just punched another man in the face and stole his half-open pack. The punched guy cursed twice, then dropped to his knees to pick crumbs off the floor. The old grandpa, the one whose speech about his starving grandson had sent Zhou Baiwan out into the freezing night, managed to grab 1 pack. A young man ripped it right out of his hands. The old man dropped to his knees. "My grandson is dying. Please give it back." The guy didn't even turn around. Tore open the pack and shoved dry noodles into his mouth. 5 minutes. 3 full cases of instant noodles, gone. The floor was littered with shredded packaging. People squatted in corners gnawing raw noodle blocks without even bothering to add water. Chewing, slurping, choking, pounding their own chests to force food down. Zhou Baiwan stood in the corner watching. Nobody looked at her. Nobody asked where the food came from. Nobody asked if she was hurt, or cold, or hungry. She was a used tool, tossed aside the moment she'd served her purpose. Then a voice. That's IT, the same middle-aged woman who'd led the charge of accusations earlier. Holding 3 packs, face full of complaints. "Officer Zhou, this is barely 1 day's worth." "What about tomorrow?" Others piled on immediately. "Yeah, is there more?" "Tomorrow, you need to deliver on schedule. We can't go hungry. You're the police. You have to see this through." Zhou Baiwan stood there. Mouth open. Nothing coming out. I could see it in her eyes. She was replaying the last 3 hours. What she'd done. What she'd given up. And for what? She'd expected at least a thank you. Even just one grateful look. Instead, she got a performance review and a demand for regular deliveries. I leaned against the doorframe, watching this beautiful train wreck unfold. Exactly as predicted. Down to the last ungrateful syllable. I summoned a mini fire tornado in my palm. Crimson red, spinning, like a tiny eye from hell, and leaned toward Zhou Baiwan. "Want me to burn this place down?" Her eyes went huge. She shook her head frantically. "And oh, without this building they'll all die." I looked at her, still trying to protect them. Even now, I closed my fist. Flame vanished. Honestly, destroy the place or don't, didn't matter much. Tonight's extreme cold would kill most of them anyway. But I asked one more question. "You did see how they just treated you, right?" Silence. I slapped her on the butt. "Come on. We're leaving." She stumbled forward a step, but said nothing. Just followed me out with her head down, walking like a zombie herself. Outside, the wind was savage. Cold slicing our faces like razors. Sky dark and heavy, clouds pressing down like they wanted to crush the city. A few steps out, something cold landed on my face. I looked up. Snow. A few flakes at first, then suddenly, a blizzard. Thick, fat snowflakes whipping sideways in the wind, stinging on contact. Zhou Baiwan stared up at the sky, watching flakes land on her hand, melt, get replaced. Probably remembering when snow was pretty instead of lethal. I walked ahead, shoulders already covered in white, not slowing down. The apocalypse is here. You can't save everyone. My voice was half swallowed by the wind. Did they thank you? Tonight's cold will kill 80 or 90% of them. I said it the same way you'd say, looks like rain. She didn't argue. She opened her mouth, Probably wanted to say, I don't believe that, but nothing came out. Because she was remembering those faces. The woman hoarding noodles like a feral animal. The young man stealing from a starving grandfather without a backward glance. Those were the people she'd sacrificed everything for. A few zombies stumbled toward us from the roadside, frozen stiff, moving slow, but still coming. Snow already accumulating on their gray skin. I flicked 2 fireballs without breaking stride. Boom, boom. Zombie parts scattered across the snow. Black blood on white ground. See that? I kept walking. It takes you everything you've got to kill one. Luring, ambushing, beating it with a baton dozens of times, risking getting bitten. Me? One flick. A woman as attractive as you, with no powers. You know what that means in this world. You end up as someone's plaything. That's reality. She looked at the exploded corpses, then at my back. I could feel her doing the math, comparing her desperate, life-risking zombie fights to my casual hand wave. The gap between us wasn't a crack. It was a canyon. Back at the 28th floor, snow already coating everything. The hallway was basically a walk-in freezer, breath turning to frost the instant it left your mouth. But inside our little partition room, paradise. I tossed out a fist-sized fireball and let it hover in midair, slowly spinning, turning the space into a toasty little oven. Perks of being a fire type. Zhou Baiwan stared at that floating fireball like she'd just witnessed a miracle. Which, for her, it basically was. First time seeing abilities up close was yesterday, and she was still processing. I threw her a blanket and some warm clothes. Put these on. She hugged everything to her chest like I'd handed her gold bars. Then I crawled into bed next to Lin Wei, pulled her close, and closed my eyes. Didn't look at Zhou Baiwan again. She just stood there holding that blanket, not knowing what to do with herself. Awkward silence. Then from under my covers, you stink. Stay far away, she froze. Slowly looked down and sniffed herself. Days without a bath. Rolling around in zombie corpses. Sweating through multiple layers of cold terror and having it freeze dry on her body. Then suddenly entering a warm room where all those smells could really bloom. Yeah, she stank. Her eye twitched. Hongqing's police flower. The untouchable rising star. Told she smells bad by a guy who won't even open his eyes. She let out a bitter laugh, found a corner as far from us as possible, wrapped herself up like a burrito, and sat against the wall. The fireball kept spinning overhead, warm and glowing. She stared at it, replaying everything. The ungrateful faces, my words. You'll end up as someone's plaything. She closed her eyes. Eventually, sleep took her. Next morning, sun finally showed up, pale and sickly, like it was running a fever. Light, but zero warmth. Zhou Baiwan opened the partition door, and the cold punched her in the teeth. -80 or 90 degrees outside. Her breath crystallized into ice fog instantly. The entire city was frozen solid. Not pretty winter wonderland frozen, apocalypse ice age frozen. Icicles hanging from buildings like giant fangs. Streets glazed over, cars frozen into ice sculptures, power lines drooping under thick coats of frost. No people anywhere. Just a few zombies shuffling in circles, so frozen they could barely move. Some were literally stuck in place, standing ice statues. In the distance, curled up shapes against walls. Survivors who didn't make it through the night, dusted with a thin layer of frost. The whole city was a giant morgue freezer. I walked out, checked the sky. Pack up. We leave at noon. Zhou Baiwan blinked. Where to? Home. I glanced at the frozen zombies. Extreme cold slows them down and kills their sense of smell. But when this cold passes, they'll hit their first evolution wave. 30% will upgrade to level 2. Some will evolve even further. Pause. After that, the zombie tide comes. I turn back inside. Clock's ticking. At noon, still brutally cold, but a few degrees warmer than the night. The 3 of us headed to the underground parking garage. Dark, dim, emergency lights barely hanging on. Thin ice on the floor crunching under every step. Dusty abandoned cars scattered around. I walked to a corner and pulled back a waterproof tarp. Both women's jaws hit the floor simultaneously. Underneath was a beast. A massive military off-road vehicle I'd pulled from my storage space the day before. Dark green, 6-wheel drive, ground clearance tall enough to walk under, tires thicker than an adult's waist. Solar panels and spotlights mounted on the roof, heavy-duty crash bars welded to the sides. The thing looked like a sleeping steel dinosaur. What? I asked that, Lin Wei took off her glasses, cleaned them, put them back on, convinced her eyes were lying. Mengsure. Modified. I patted the body, deep metallic thud. 6-wheel drive. Bulletproof. Can flip a dump truck. Zhou Baiwan walked a full circle around it, growing more stunned with each step. This vehicle was worth millions before the apocalypse. She looked at me with an expression that clearly said, "What else are you hiding?" I ignored her look, grabbed a set of heavy-duty tire chains from the trunk, thick as thumbs, built for ice, and started strapping them on. 6 wheels, 6 chains, quick and efficient. Get in. They climbed into the back. Spacious interior, real leather seats, faint smell of luxury. Lin Wei was touching everything like a kid in a candy store. Zhou Baiwan leaned against the window, staring at the frozen garage, lost in thought. I fired up the engine. Vroom. The diesel engine roared to life, deep, guttural, the whole vehicle vibrating like a waking predator. That rumble went right through your bones. Gas pedal down. The Mengsure exploded out of the garage, tore up the icy ramp, and charged into the frozen city. The streets were pure ice rinks. Roads that once carried thousands of cars were now mirror-smooth, reflecting the dead white sky. Frozen vehicles everywhere, buried in snow, blocking intersections, just lumps with vague car-shaped outlines. Did I care? Not even slightly. The Mengshure's monster tires rolled over those cars like they were toys. Crunch. A sedan shoved aside, doors caved in, glass shattering. Crunch. An SUV blocking the road? I drove over it. 6-wheel drive flattened it into a metal pancake. Guardrails launched into the air. A power pole snapped like a chopstick. Zombies in the road got turned into paste, black blood exploding across the ice, smeared away by the tires. Splat. One zombie bounced off the windshield, leaving a streak of black blood before tumbling under the wheels. Zhou Baiwan opened her eyes just in time to watch that twisted face disappear beneath us. Her stomach lurched. "Don't throw up," I said without turning around. "You puke, you clean it." She gritted her teeth and swallowed it back down. Then she looked at the frozen ruins whipping past the window. "Where are we going?" I answered with 4 words. Panshur Manor. The Mengsure tore through the frozen city like a bowling ball through pins. I drifted around a corner, launched a trash can into orbit, and kept going, crushing ice, plowing through rubble, leaving every shambling zombie in our dust. The city outside was a postcard from hell. Overpasses half collapsed, draped in icicles. Office buildings with shattered glass walls, dark empty windows staring out like dead eyes. A Christmas tree still standing outside a mall, decorations buried under snow, a forgotten gravestone for the old world. Survivors peeked out from ruins as we passed. Faces in windows, huddled shapes behind walls. Eyes filled with fear, envy, begging. The Mengsure didn't stop. Not once. By 6 p.m., the last sliver of dark red sunset was fading. We'd arrived. Panshur Manor. Sitting halfway up a hillside, blanketed in ice and snow like a sleeping giant. Rows of standalone villas scattered across the slope, each one wearing a thick coat of ice that glowed faintly blue in the twilight. My villa sat at the very top. Best spot on the hill. Icicles hung from the roof to the ground like crystal curtains. The yard was buried under waist-deep snow, a few dead plants and a cracked stone table barely poking through. But the structure? Rock solid. Worth every penny I'd spent reinforcing it. I pushed open the front door. Inside was messy. Earthquake had knocked decorations off shelves, porcelain shattered everywhere. Some water damage in the corners, a few floor tiles warped and creaky. But the windows? Bulletproof glass. Not a single crack. Money well spent. I noticed deep dents on the front door. Something had been hammering hard trying to get in. But the door held. Someone had tried to break in and failed. I smirked. I pulled diesel from my storage space, doused the fireplace logs, and lit them up. Warm, golden light flooded the living room instantly. Then I dragged out several diesel heaters and cranked them all on. The hum filled the air as heat pushed out the days of accumulated cold. Temperature climbing fast. Lin Wei was already tidying up like she owned the place, sweeping broken glass, righting fallen chairs, straightening crooked picture frames. Efficient. Comfortable. Zhou Baiwan just stood in the doorway, frozen. Not from cold this time, from shock. Warmth. Light. Safety. How long since she'd experienced any of that? The government building was nothing but darkness, cold, and despair. People packed together for body heat, splitting half a cookie between 100 mouths. And now this, a crackling fireplace, heaters running, warm dry floors. She looked like she'd walked into a dream. I walked over and gave her a kick. I brought you here to work, not to stand around looking tragic. She stumbled forward, snapping out of it. You want me to do housework? Her voice cracked on the word. Jo Baiwan. Never washed a dish in her life. Grew up with maids, had staff at work, only needed to solve cases and climb the career ladder. I pulled my belt free and cracked it in the air. Still owe me over 1,000. Don't make me collect all at once. Her face went through several colors. She remembered last night. She deflated instantly. Head down, she started cleaning. Lin Wei swept. Jo Baiwan dusted. Under an hour, the place looked livable again. I sat on the couch, legs crossed, watching a woman with a master's degree and a decorated police captain play house cleaners. Entertaining. Done. Go shower. You both reek. They both froze. Then their eyes lit up like Christmas lights. There's hot water here. Jo Baiwan's voice was trembling. She hadn't bathed since the earthquake. The smell situation on her was catastrophic. Lin Wei grabbed her hand, and they practically sprinted to the bathroom. The industrial water heater I'd stockpiled was working perfectly. Hot water gushing out in seconds. Jo Baiwan stood under the shower watching gray water swirl down the drain. Dirt, blood, zombie stench, all washing away. She closed her eyes and just stood there, not thinking about the accusing faces or the grabbing hands or the stolen noodles. Just showering. Meanwhile, I sat outside with a grin, pulling 2 outfits from my storage space. A maid costume, black and white, lace trim, short skirt, white headband. A police costume, dark blue, short skirt, belt, little cap. Half an hour later, the bathroom door opened. Both women walked out pink-faced from the hot water, wet hair draped over their shoulders. They saw the outfits in my hands and froze solid. What are those? Jo Baiwan's voice hit a new octave. Your old clothes are biohazards. Were these? Lin Wei turned red, took the maid outfit, and put it on quietly. Jo Baiwan wanted to refuse, but her uniform was a crumpled, stinking disaster on the bathroom floor. She had literally nothing else. She gritted her teeth, snatched the police costume, turned around, and yanked it on. The villa warmed up to a cozy 20 degrees. Outside, death freeze. Inside, spring vacation. Both women were on the couch after their showers. Jo Baiwan in that police costume, tugging the skirt down every 3 seconds. It wouldn't budge. The fabric had exactly 0 interest in covering more territory. Lin Wei in the maid outfit, curled up like a cat, blinking those big eyes behind her glasses. I looked left, looked right, looked left again. This apocalypse wasn't so bad. Lin Wei murmured softly. Chang'e, thanks to you we have a safe place in this apocalypse. I grinned. Obviously, we go way back. Our bond is worth over 100 million. She blinked. Then the penny dropped. Over 100 million. Sounds like over 1 billion times in Chinese slang. Her face turned the color of a fire truck. She buried her head in the couch cushion and made a muffled, MMPH sound. Jo Baiwan was confused for a second. Then her brain caught up. She went red too. Pervert. I laughed so hard the walls shook. Then I opened the fridge. Packed. Fresh vegetables, sliced meat, every kind of meatball, rolls of fatty beef. All pulled from my storage space earlier, just chilling in the fridge for appearances. Lin Wei peeked inside, and her eyes went supernova. Jo Baiwan looked in and nearly burst into tears. Fresh lettuce, red meat, and her absolute favorite, shrimp paste. After 10 days of dry chewing instant noodles in a freezing government building, this was like staring into heaven's kitchen. Hot pot tonight. I closed the fridge like it was no big deal. Both women went completely still. Then their eyes lit up like twin suns. Hot pot. The steaming, spicy, dip everything in boiling broth hot pot? Jo Baiwan actually gulped. I pulled out a portable induction cooker, hooked it up to a custom power station, fully charged, enough juice to run the entire villa at max for 3 days. Hit the switch. Hum. The sound of electricity. The most boring sound in the old world. Jo Baiwan's eyes went misty hearing it. In the apocalypse, the hum of a working appliance hits different. Big pot. Water. 1 brick of spicy beef tallow hot pot base, sitting in the cold water like a red boulder. 5 minutes later, bubbles. The tallow melting, red oil spreading, and then the smell. Spicy, rich, the kind of aroma that grabs you by the nose and physically drags your mouth toward the pot. Linwei was already setting out bowls and chopsticks without being asked. Zhou Baiwan stood frozen for 2 seconds, then jumped in to help. Outside, blizzard getting worse, collapsed buildings disappearing behind curtains of snow, like giant tombstones fading from view. Inside, paradise. The pot was rolling, red broth churning, white steam fogging up the windows. I laid out everything. Lettuce, spinach, mushrooms, spam, every kind of meatball, fatty beef rolls, lamb rolls, and Zhou Baiwan's beloved shrimp paste. What are you waiting for? Eat. I grabbed a slice of fatty beef, swished it through the boiling red soup 7 or 8 times, dipped it in sauce, and put it in my mouth. The beef melted on my tongue. Spicy, numbing, then the rich meat flavor, the oil, the garlic from the dipping sauce. Satisfaction shooting straight from taste buds to the top of my skull. Linwei bit into a fishball, immediately burned herself, started panting with her mouth open, but refused to spit it out. She chewed while blowing air, eyes full of pure bliss. Zhou Baiwan picked up a piece of lettuce, dipped it in the broth for a few seconds, pulled it out still crunchy, coated in red spicy soup. Her eyes went red. Not from the spice. From not having eaten anything hot in over a week. From not tasting real food. From not sitting in a warm room eating like a human being. She ducked her head, pretended the chili got her, and wiped her eyes. I noticed. Didn't say anything. Just slid a plate of freshly cooked beef in front of her. She paused, picked up a piece, chewed slowly, steam rising everywhere. Amazing smells filling the room. Snow pouring down outside, ruins and rubble disappearing into white. Inside, 3 people around one pot, sweating from the heat and the spice. Then, bang, bang, bang. Someone hammering on the front door. Hard. Aggressive. We all froze, chopsticks in midair. I put mine down, walked to the entryway, and checked the security monitor on the wall. On screen, 7 or 8 people standing outside, wrapped in every piece of clothing they could find. Coats, blankets, quilts, bundled up so thick they looked like human dumplings. Couldn't even tell who was who. I checked the security monitor. 7 or 8 bundled up clowns outside, armed with steel pipes, machetes, and a rusty fire axe. The leader was hammering on my door, screaming his lungs out. I hit the audio switch. Open up. We know someone's in there. It's freezing. Open the damn door. Got any food? Give us something hot. Cursing, banging, the whole concert. Real charming bunch. Linwei frowned at the screen. Zhou Baiwan stared at it, mouth opening and closing, but said nothing. I smiled, walked back to the table, sat down, grabbed a slice of lamb, and swished it in the boiling pot. Keep eating. Linwei blinked. We're just ignoring them. Ignoring what? I chewed my lamb. You know what that door is? I pointed toward the entrance. Layer 1. High-carbon steel reinforced door. Stops zombie charges. Layer 2. Titanium alloy sealed gate. Military grade. A rocket launcher couldn't crack it. Layer 3. Carbon fiber security door. Cut-proof, pry-proof. Sip of water. Let them knock. They could bang on it until next year. Outside, banging and screaming. Inside, bubbling broth and heavenly smells. We kept eating hot pot like the noise was just dinner music. Open up. I'll at $% your mother. Let US in or we'll break this door down. I dipped some spam in sauce. This is pretty good, Linwei nodded. Tender. Zhou Baiwan chewed quietly, head down, lost in thought. 20 minutes of this. The banging got worse. The insults got more creative. Finally, I wiped my mouth. Everyone full. Both nodded. The pot was still bubbling, but nobody felt like eating anymore with that racket. I stood up, cracked my neck, and grinned. Let's go say hello. I unbolted the second titanium door and cracked it open. The instant that door opened a sliver, warm air carrying the smell of spicy hot pot rushed out into the frozen night. Every single person outside went still. The warm breeze touched their frozen faces, and several of them involuntarily leaned forward, chasing that heat like moths to a flame. Then the smell hit them. Spicy, rich, meaty, the kind of aroma that has no business existing at minus whatever degrees. It was basically olfactory warfare. A guy wrapped in a comforter sniffed hard, eyes going wide. Holy, they've got a generator, heaters, and freaking hot pot. The group erupted. Someone gulped so loud I heard it through the door, eyes turning red, staring at the crack in the door like they wanted to eat the building itself. People shoving forward. Move. Let me in. The lead guy slapped his people back and leaned toward me, full tough guy mode. HEY. You in there. Get out if you want to live. My boss is a powered person. This whole area belongs to US. I leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. Said nothing. He got bolder. Puffed his chest out for his boys. See those villas up the hill? Big fancy ones. Know who lived there? Bosses, officials, rich people. Used to look at guys like us like we were dirt. Wouldn't even make eye contact. Well, guess what? Apocalypse came and they're nothing now. He started bragging about breaking into villas, killing the men. Then he started describing what they did to the women, detailing their assaults on a wealthy woman in her 50s, an official's wife, a schoolteacher. Laughing about it. His crew hooting and cheering behind him. I stood there and listened. Face blank. Arms still crossed. Then he craned his neck past me and spotted Lin Wei and Zhou Baiwan standing in the warm, lit living room. His voice cut off mid-sentence. His eyes locked on. Holy, his crew followed his gaze. All went silent. Two women in a warm, glowing room. Hot pot steaming behind them. One in a maid outfit. Glasses, intellectual, soft. One in a police costume. Long legs, ice-cold beauty. The kind of face that stops traffic. The guy's Adam's apple bobbed. His eyes went bloodshot. Then he turned to his crew and opened his disgusting mouth to announce exactly what he planned to do. I kept leaning on the doorframe. Still hadn't said a word. But my fingers were starting to warm up. And not from the hot pot. I pulled the Desert Eagle from my jacket. Silver barrel gleaming in the cold light. Pointed it right at the loudmouth's face. His trash talk died mid-syllable. That confident grin flash froze into pure terror. Lips flapping, making sounds that weren't words. Thud. He dropped to his knees. His entire crew folded like dominoes. Everyone hitting the snow, some flat on their faces, some already kowtowing. Spare US, boss. We were blind. Big man forgives little man. I swept the gun across them. Typical. Then, a snicker from the back of the group. A bald guy stood up slowly, shoving kneeling people aside, walking to the front like he owned the place. His eyes had zero fear, just amusement. Like a cat watching a mouse hold a tiny sword. A gun, he laughed. That's it. He raised his right fist and clenched. His skin started transforming. A silvery metallic sheen crawling from his fingertips to his elbow like liquid armor plating. Metal-type ability. Bullets don't work on me. He grinned with a mouthful of yellow teeth and slapped his chest. Clang. Sounded like hitting an iron bell. Go ahead. Shoot right here. His crew instantly found their courage again. People getting off their knees, straightening up, yelling. Boss is unstoppable. Kill him. A gun? Big deal. Our boss is a powered person. I looked at Baldy. Smiled. Raised the gun. Bang. Loudest yellow-haired punk. Forehead, done. Down. Bang. The skinny guy who'd been cheering. Chest, done. Down. Bang. The rat-faced man kneeling up front. Right between the eyes. Timber. 3 shots. 3 bodies. Blood steaming in the snow. The survivors recollapsed. The ones who just stood up crashed back to their knees. Someone's pants got a fresh warm patch. Baldy didn't flinch. Actually laughed harder. That all you got? I told you. I'm not afraid of. I pointed the gun at him. Bang. Direct hit. Center of chest. His body rocked slightly. He looked down. Bullet hole in his jacket, but underneath? Not a scratch. Just a faint white mark on his metallic skin. He brushed it off like lint. See? Told you. Bullets are useless. Now, he stepped forward. My turn. His crew went wild again. Get him, boss. The metallic sheen spread from his arms to his shoulders to his entire upper body. He looked like an iron statue walking toward me. Fists clenched, one heavy step at a time. I grinned. Who said I only use guns? I raised the Desert Eagle one more time. Bang. This bullet was different. A tiny crimson flame spiraled around it as it flew, like a miniature comet trailing fire. Baldy didn't even try to dodge. He spread his arms wide, smiling, ready to tank another harmless shot. The bullet hit his chest. PFF. Quiet sound. His smile froze. He looked down. Same spot. Bullet embedded in his metal skin, didn't penetrate. Just like before. But around the impact point, hairline cracks were spreading. Like heat-fractured glass. Like stone kissed by lava. The cracks grew wider. Faster. His pupils shrank to dots. No, boom. His entire metal armor exploded outward, shrapnel flying everywhere. A hole punched clean through his chest, front to back, edges charred black, wisps of smoke curling upward. He stood there, disbelief permanently etched on his face, then toppled backward into the snow with a heavy thud. Silence. His crew stared at the smoking hole in their invincible leader's chest, brains buffering. Their powered guy just died? One shot. Someone dropped to their knees first. Then another. Then everyone, forehead to snow, rapid-fire kowtowing. Mercy. We were blind. Baldy forced us. It wasn't our idea. I didn't look at them. Stepped on Baldy's still twitching body, reached into the chest wound, and pulled out the deformed bullet. Blood-coated, but you could see the blackened scorch marks on the metal surface. My fire signature. Flicked it away. Scanned the kowtowing crowd. The people you captured. Where are they? A middle-aged man scrambled forward on all fours. I'll talk. I'll talk. The big villa at the bottom of the hill. The one with 2 stone lions at the gate. 7 or 8 women locked inside. Rich wives and daughters. Plus supplies, food, water, everything. Then he added, there's also a big yellow dog in there that can talk. I froze. A talking yellow dog? Wait, that's Blade Shield BRO. If the past life ability rankings included animals, that ridiculous dog was a guaranteed top 10. After evolving, he literally fought with a knife in one paw and a shield in the other, ran around screaming about making the elf war. Goddess, his human pet, once broke into her bedroom solo and peed on her floor, and she chased him for 7 straight days without catching him. Also, he absolutely hated human males. Extremely useful intel. Very entertaining future ahead. I raised the gun again. Bang. The middle-aged informant's eyes went wide. He dropped. That's not fair. Someone squeaked. The rest completely lost it. Running, crawling, crying, begging, chaos. I picked them off one by one. Bang, bang, bang. Gunshots echoing across the snowy hillside. 10 seconds later, silence. Bodies scattered across the snow like broken toys. Blood turning the white ground red. Burnt gunpowder and iron mixing in the freezing wind. Snowflakes already settling on the corpses, slowly painting them white again. I holstered the gun and walked back inside. Trash taken out. I walked back inside and shut the titanium door. Cold and death, stay outside where you belong. I sat down on the couch. Linwei looked at me with zero surprise. She was used to this by now. Zhou Baiwan stood by the window watching the bodies disappear under fresh snow. A few minutes, and they'd be just lumps in white. Nature's cleanup crew. She wanted to say something. I could tell. Think I'm too cruel? She nodded, then shook her head. Couldn't even commit to an opinion. I grabbed her by the waist and pulled her close. She went stiff, tried to squirm free. My grip wasn't budging. Through that thin police costume, she could feel my palm burning hot against her skin. Officer Zhou, I whispered near her ear, want to have powers? Her eyes went wide. Powers? Fire control, ice manipulation, punching through walls. Treat me well tonight. I have a method. I said it like I was choosing what's for dinner. Then I let go and grabbed my jacket. She stood there, brain.exe not responding. I had somewhere to be. Fired up the Mengsher. Engine roaring through the frozen night, shaking snow off the windows. I was thinking about what Ratface had said before I shot him. Big villa at the bottom of the hill, 2 stone lions, captured women, supplies, and a talking dog. That was what I was actually after. Not the women, not the supplies. The dog. In my past life, Blade Shield Bro was an absolute legend. If the power rankings included animals, this maniac canine was top 10 guaranteed. After evolving, he literally carried a knife in one paw and a shield in the other, went around declaring he'd make the elf war goddess his. Human pet, once broke into her bedroom solo and peed on her floor. Then she chased him for 7 days and 7 nights and couldn't catch him. He also hated human males with a burning passion. Right now, though, he was probably just a miserable prisoner. If I could recruit him early. Gas pedal. The Mengsher screamed into the blizzard. Pulled up to the villa. 2 stone lions buried under snow like fat snowmen. 3-story European-style mansion, marble walls covered in icicles. Fancy place. I kicked the front door clean off its hinges. Crash. The heavy wooden door flew into the entryway cabinet, wood and glass exploding everywhere. 5 thugs inside were huddled around a little stove. They jumped up. Who? You want to die? They grabbed pipes and machetes and charged. I raised my hand. Bang, bang, bang. 3 down. Bullets through skulls. Blood painting the walls. The remaining 2 dropped their weapons, steel pipes clattering on tile, and ran. 1 toward the stairs, 1 toward the back door. Bang, bang. 2 backs hit the floor. Twitched. Still. 5 bodies in the hallway. Blood pooling on cold ceramic tiles, steam rising. I stepped over them and headed to the backyard. The yard was huge, but absolutely trashed. Snow trampled into brown mush, garbage everywhere, empty bottles, frozen food scraps. Real classy establishment. In the corner, a rusty chain attached to something. I walked closer. A dog. A big yellow dog. But big was generous at this point. The thing was a skeleton wrapped in fur, ribs poking out like they were trying to escape. Patches of fur missing everywhere, skin underneath raw and infected. Scabbed wounds all over. Tail broken, only half remaining, dragging on the ground. Right leg bent at a very wrong angle, clearly smashed at some point. It was curled up in the snow, dusted with a thin white layer, looking like discarded garbage. It heard my footsteps and raised its head. Those eyes, cloudy, suspicious, and underneath all that, a hatred carved into its very bones. I suddenly understood why this dog grew up to despise humans, especially men. These animals had been keeping it as emergency food. Blade Shield Bro looked at me and let out a low growl. Not a normal bark. It was this weird, almost human sound. Raspy, unclear, but you could barely make out syllables. My Blade Shield, I froze. Then I almost burst out laughing. This dog could actually talk? And its first words were asking about its weapons? Looking at the state of it, starving skeleton, broken tail, busted leg, covered in wounds, paired with that pathetic little question delivered in a crying dog voice. It was simultaneously the saddest and funniest thing I'd ever witnessed. It saw me smile, and its guard went up. It shuffled backward, chain rattling, exposing the patch of fur worn smooth from the shackle rubbing. I stopped laughing, crouched down to eye level. Blade Shield Bro stared at me, growling harder, warning me, but also giving up. It had zero energy left to fight. I said nothing, flipped my hand. From my storage space, 1 entire cooked chicken, steaming hot, fragrant as heaven itself in the freezing air. Blade Shield Bro's brain short-circuited. Its little nose twitched, sniffed. The suspicion in its eyes turned to confusion. It looked at the chicken, looked at me, looked at the chicken again. It did not compute. I placed the chicken in front of it and backed up 2 steps. It stared at the chicken, body tense as a coiled spring, ready to bolt. Except the chain was only 2 meters long. Nowhere to go. 1 second. 2. 3. Hunger beat fear. It lunged forward, grabbed the chicken, dragged it to the corner, turned its back to me, and started demolishing it. Ripping, chewing, swallowing, loud, desperate, animalistic sounds echoing across the quiet yard. It choked once, coughed, then kept eating. 1 whole chicken, gone in under 5 minutes. Bones and all. Nothing left. Blade Shield Bro licked its lips, licked its paws, then slowly turned around and looked at me. Still cautious, but the hostility had dialed down a notch. And in its eyes there was something new. Was that hope? I pulled out a second chicken. Its eyes lit up like Christmas lights, but it didn't move. It looked at me, then the chicken, then at my hand, the hand that had just materialized poultry from thin air. You could practically see the little dog brain working overtime trying to process this magic trick. I set the chicken down. This time I didn't back away. I stayed crouched and slowly reached my hand toward it. Blade Shield Bro tensed up, a low whimper in its throat. But it didn't flinch. My hand landed on its head. The fur was stiff, filthy, caked with mud and dried blood. I could feel every bone underneath, plus scabbed over wounds. Its whole body was trembling, cold, fear, or maybe just not being touched gently in way too long. It lowered its head and started on chicken number 2. Slower this time. Every few bites it'd peek up at me, then go back to eating. Like checking if the magic chicken man was still real. After it finished, the transformation was immediate. Its eyes cleared up, some of that cloudy deadness fading, replaced by actual life. And the tail, the sad broken half-tail, gave 1 tiny wag. Just 1. But it counted. I stood up. 1 chicken a day? Follow me, and you'll never go hungry. Blade Shield Bro looked at me. Then it stood, limping, struggling, every step painful, but it walked over and bumped its head against my leg. Gently. Testing. I crouched down and scratched its head. From now on, your name is Blade Shield Bro. It looked up at me and made that weird, almost human sound again. My Blade Shield? I took the dog inside the villa. The place was a disaster zone. Garbage, empty bottles, rotting food scraps, expensive paintings splashed with booze and covered in boot prints, leather sofa slashed to ribbons, carpet burned with cigarette holes. The smell was a chemical weapon, human waste, vomit, and decomposing food creating a fragrance so powerful it cut through -15-degree air. Blade Shield Bro limped beside me, head down, nose twitching, letting out little whimpers. The smells were triggering bad memories. Second floor, worse than the first. Doors open, rooms trashed. Women's clothes shredded on the ground. Bloodstains on mattresses already turned black. Third floor, faint crying. A man cursing. I walked faster. End of the hallway, door half open, dim light inside. Through the crack, stop moving or I'll kill you. Please. No. I kicked the door off its hinges. Crash. Inside, a shirtless thug pinning a woman down, holding a torn shirt in his fist. He whipped around, that disgusting grin still on his face. The woman underneath, clothes ripped apart, face streaked with tears. She saw someone at the door and hope flared in her eyes. Then she realized it was another strange man, and the hope collapsed into deeper terror. The thug recovered fast. Who they? Get out. He grabbed a machete and charged me, blade raised over his head. I raised my hand. Bang. His forehead popped. He fell backward like someone pulled his plug. Machete clattered to the floor. Blood on the walls. Blood on the woman. She screamed and scrambled to the far corner, hugging her knees, shaking violently. I didn't look at her twice. Scanned the room. Designer coat on the floor, jeans, high heels, a dusty Hermes bag on the nightstand. She looked familiar. Maybe from some detective movie? Probably a celebrity. Didn't matter. I moved on. Biggest room on the third floor. Door kicked open. Bang. Inside, over a dozen women crammed together on the floor. Messy hair, torn clothes, bruises and cuts on their faces. Some wrapped in blankets, some in thin pajamas, some bearing visible injuries. They all looked up at me and the limping yellow dog in the doorway. Then they started crying. All of them. Simultaneously. A tidal wave of sobbing, begging, wailing, like I'd opened a cage of terrified birds. Please let me go. Some were kowtowing. Some curled into balls. Some couldn't even look up. My eyebrow twitched. I aimed at the ceiling. Bang. Instant silence. A few still had tears streaming, hands clamped over mouths, but not a sound. It's the apocalypse. What's crying going to do? You know noise attracts zombies. Dead quiet except muffled sniffles. I lowered the gun. You're free. Doors that way. Leave. Turned around and started walking out. Behind me, shuffling, scrambling, running. Some still crying, but silently now. Wait, a woman's voice. I didn't stop. Footsteps catching up. A cold hand tugged my sleeve. I turned. A woman, mid-30s, good presence even in her current state. She looked familiar too. Her eyes lit up the second she saw my face. Mr. Lee, I'm Tang Wan, the manager from Jiangchun Restaurant. I helped you at the entrance that time, with the security footage. Oh, right. The restaurant where I'd spent millions, where Lu Ruyan and her friend had their catfight. Lu Chong caused trouble, Zhou Baiwan showed up, and this manager had pulled up the surveillance video to help me out. But so what? I'd been a paying customer. That was a business transaction, not a friendship. She looked at me with pleading eyes. Mr. Lee, can I come with you? I looked her over. Head to toe. No. Rich ladies like you can't do anything useful. You'd be dead weight. I turned to leave. She panicked, rushed forward one step. She held out her hand, palm up, and a tiny little flame sputtered to life on her skin. Poof. Tiny. Weak. A strong breeze would snuff it out. The flame wobbled in the cold wind like a scared firefly about to give up on life. Her voice was shaky, uncertain. I just awakened this at noon. Does this count as? I glanced back at the flame in Tang Wan's hand. Tiny. Weak. Orange-yellow. Pathetic. Awakened just now? Your potential is D rank at best. F at worst. You'll max out at level 5. Useless. I kept walking. She stood there watching me leave, looked down at her palm. The little flame got smaller, weaker, and, poof, died. Like even the fire agreed with my assessment. She knew she'd been rejected, but she wasn't done. She ran after me and planted herself in my path. I frowned. She was panting, talking a mile a minute. I can do laundry. I can clean. I can give massages. I actually trained for it. And I can cook. My father was a level 1 chef. He cooked state banquets. At the Great Hall of the People. I learned from him. All 8 major cuisines. Frying, braising, steaming, everything. I'm not as good as him, but I'm way better than average. Tears again, but different this time. Not begging. Proving. Take me with you, and I'll cook every day. Whatever you want. You have ingredients. She stopped mid-sentence. Reality check. It's the apocalypse. Cooking might be the most useless skill in existence right now. Survival first, gourmet dining. Never. The hope drained from her face. She stepped aside to let me pass. But I stopped. Because I actually did need a cook. I looked at her again. Mid-30s, good presence, decent shape, currently a tearful mess. At the restaurant that time, she'd seemed like a decent person. My storage space was stuffed with ingredients, vegetables, meats, seafood, everything. But what was I doing with it? Hot pot, compressed biscuits, instant noodles. Every single day. Lin Wei couldn't cook. Zhou Baiwan was such a pampered princess that asking her to make dinner would be less efficient than sending her to fight zombies. Your father? I asked. Her eyes went dark, like someone switched off a lamp. Dead. Those men killed him. He charged at them to protect me. Told me to run. I didn't make it. 2 seconds of silence. I flipped my hand. From storage, a thick black knee-length down jacket. Brand new, still smelled like packaging. Tossed it to her. She caught it on reflex and just stared at it. Put it on. What's your name? Tang Wan. She hugged the jacket, standing in the blizzard, watching my back. Then she frantically ripped the plastic off and threw it on. Warm. She ran to catch up. Behind her, crying still echoed from the villa. Some women had fled. Some were frozen with indecision. Some had no idea where to go. She didn't look back. She walked half a step behind me. Not beside me, behind. Blade Shield Bro glanced back at her, wagged his half-tail once, and kept limping forward. 2 humans, 1 dog, vanishing into the storm. Deep night when we got back. The second the door opened, warmth. The fireplace was roaring, orange light dancing across the living room, heaters humming, pushing hot air into every corner. Compared to the frozen hellscape outside, this was another dimension. Lin Wei and Zhou Baiwan were crouched by the fireplace, adding wood. They looked up, saw Tang Wan behind me. Mid-30s, good-looking, oversized black jacket, tear-stained face, and paused for a moment before recovering. Lin Wei smiled. Zhou Baiwan recognized her, cop memory. The restaurant manager who'd saved me with the security footage. Now she'd been collected too. Lin Wei walked over and helped me with my coat. Tang Wan stood in the doorway, taking in the warm, bright, safe living room. Firelight flickering on her face, lips pressed tight, eyelashes trembling. She spotted Zhou Baiwan and recognized the policewoman from that night. Surprised, but smart enough to swallow it. Even the fierce lady cop had been tamed. Lin Wei reached for the dishes on the table. Tang Wan was already there, taking the cloth from her hands. Let me. This is my job now. Her voice was quiet but rock solid. She knew her role. Housekeeper. Chef. She was 30, couldn't compete with Zhou Baiwan's figure or Lin Wei's elegance. All she had was cooking. Table cleared in minutes. I was still hungry. Hot pot earlier hadn't been enough, and the evening excursion burned through whatever fuel I had. Time to test the new chef. Tang Wan raided the fridge. Crayfish, lamb skewers, chicken wings, squid tentacles, eggplant, enoki mushrooms. She lined up her own spice mix. Cumin, chili flakes, garlic sauce, oyster sauce. The kitchen came alive. Sizzling sounds, smoke, aroma. Lamb skewers laid across the grill pan, brushed with oil, showered in cumin and chili. Fat bubbling and crackling. Smell hitting you like a freight train of deliciousness. Crayfish tossed into a big wok with garlic, ginger, dried chilies. High-flame stir-fry. Red shells tumbling through golden garlic sauce. Lin Wei drifted to the kitchen doorway, hypnotized. That smells amazing. Tang Wan smiled, flipped the skewers, brushed honey onto the chicken wings. 20 minutes later, midnight feast. Lamb skewers. Crispy outside, juicy inside. Cumin and chili on every bite, still sizzling with oil. Garlic crayfish. A mountain of them, red shells coated in golden garlic, steam rising, smell so intense it practically grabbed you by the collar. Honey chicken wings, skin crispy and caramelized, glistening. Grilled eggplant, split open, blanketed with garlic and glass noodles, soft and soaked with flavor. And a plate of smashed cucumber with vinegar and garlic. Clean, sharp, refreshing. Lin Wei didn't wait for permission. Grabbed a lamb skewer and bit in. Crispy outside, tender inside, cumin exploding in her mouth. Her eyes went wide. This is incredible. Zhou Baiwan peeled a crayfish. White, firm meat inside. Dipped in the sauce. Rich garlic. Gentle heat. So savory her eyebrows shot up. She hadn't eaten anything like this in so long she genuinely believed she never would again. I picked up a chicken wing. Bit through the crispy shell. Juicy meat. Honey sweetness mixing with cumin smoke. Perfect heat control. I looked at Tang Wan. Didn't say anything. Just nodded. She was hired. Tang Wan was standing there in her apron, oil stains and all, wiping her hands nervously. When she saw me nod, the relief on her face was like watching someone get told they passed a final exam they were sure they failed. Everyone ate like it was their last meal on Earth, which, given the circumstances, wasn't the worst assumption. Crayfish shells piled into a mountain. Lamb skewer sticks scattered across the table like a tiny battlefield. Even Blade Shield Bro got in on the action, demolishing chicken wings and drumsticks, tail spinning like a helicopter rotor. That dog ate until it became a sphere. I gave it extra chicken breast, and it didn't even look up, just inhaled it. By the end, it rolled onto the sofa cushion, belly up, furry stomach rising and falling, tiny snores escaping, paws twitching in its sleep, probably dreaming about chasing chickens. Lin Wei was melting into the couch, rubbing her stomach, eyes half closed. Tang Wan was in the kitchen doing dishes, the sound of running water and clinking plates drifting through the warm air. Zhou Baiwan sat in the corner hugging her knees, staring into the fireplace like it held the answers to life. I leaned back, closed my eyes, thought for a while, then opened them. Few announcements. Everyone looked up. Even Blade Shield Bro perked one ear. Tomorrow we head west to hunt zombies. I looked at Lin Wei. After the extreme cold passes, you need to be level 3. She nodded. Looked at Blade Shield Bro. You too. Level 3. It rolled over, looked at me upside down, and made a garbled sound like, bye-bye. Tail wagging, slapping the couch cushion. I looked at Tang Wan last. Tangjia, your ability is garbage. Target. Level 2. She poked her head out of the kitchen, confused. Me? The cook has to level up too? But she nodded. Her fire was tiny, but it was a start. Maybe at level 2 she could research flame cooking techniques. She clenched her fist, self-encouragement mode activated. Everyone got assignments. Except Zhou Baiwan. She sat alone in her corner, head down, fingers twisting the hem of her costume. Firelight dancing on her tight-lipped, furrowed brow face. No powers. Everyone had abilities now. Even the dog. But not her. Night fell. Wind screaming louder than before. Snow pellets hitting the windows like something scratching the glass. The howling outside sounded like distant wolves. Inside, toasty. Fireplace crackling, heaters humming, orange glow everywhere. Lin Wei and Tang Wan were sharing a blanket on the couch, whispering. What did you do before? Lin Wei asked. Restaurant manager at Jianchun. I once helped. Tang Wan's voice caught for a second. You? Architect. Architect? That's rare for a girl. I always liked building blocks as a kid. Lin Wei smiled. Their voices faded into the fireplace sounds. Blade Shield Bro was belly up, paws occasionally twitching, snoring softly. Round little stomach going up and down. In the dark, Zhou Baiwan lay awake, staring at the ceiling. Powers. Everyone had them. The cop with decades of combat training? Nothing. The chef had fire abilities. The crippled dog had abilities. But Officer Zhou Baiwan, youngest squad captain in Hangcheng? Powerless. She remembered what I'd whispered earlier. Want powers? Treat me well tonight. She'd thought I was joking. But now, she turned her head toward me. I was on the floor mattress, back to her, breathing steady. She bit her lip, hesitated for a long time, then took a deep breath, peeled back her blanket, and tiptoed over. Bare feet on cold floor, she curled her toes. 1 step, 2, 3. She crouched beside my mattress, heart pounding so loud she was convinced everyone in the room could hear it. 1 second of hesitation. Then she lifted the blanket edge and slid in, cold body and all. I shifted slightly. Didn't turn. But my breathing changed. She pressed close and whispered in my ear, voice shaking. What you said today. Was it real? In the dark, my voice was calm. Yes. Her eyes sparkled in the blackness. You promise? Promise. She stopped hesitating. Rolled right into my arms, face buried in my chest. Outside, howling wind, snow on glass. Inside, fireplace still burning, orange light dancing. Lin Wei and Tang, one sleeping peacefully. Blade Shield Bro flipped over, pawed the air once, and passed back out. From the corner, under the blankets. Rustling sounds. Afterward, sleep. Zhou Baiwan burrowed into the pillow, face burning red, heart still racing, ears hot enough to literally catch fire. The snow kept falling. Now, I did actually have a way to give normal people abilities. In my past life, humanity spent 3 full years and countless lives figuring out 3 methods. Method 1, Origin Fruits. Released 3 times, 15 days before the apocalypse, 1 year after, and 3 years after. 7 hours each time. Every fruit grants top-tier abilities. The SSS-Rank Space fruit I'd stolen from Lu Ruyan belonged to this category. Safest method, but pure luck. Next release, 1 year from now. Method 2, Brain Surgery. Crack open the skull, implant a crystal core directly into the brain, force activate abilities. Most common method in my past life. Also the most brutal. Half die on the operating table. Half the survivors die from ability backlash afterward. The 5% who make it, their powers never grow. Like a grafted tree, alive, but stunted forever. Method 3, Spatial Type Forced Awakening. Find a space-type ability user at least level 5. Have them carve a new region in the normal person's brain, implant a crystal core, and connect the neural pathways. After adjustment, nearly identical to natural awakening. Just slightly slower absorption and limited late-stage growth. I was currently level 3. Once I hit level 5, if Zhou Baiwan proved herself loyal enough, I could use my space ability to carve open a spot in her brain and implant a crystal core. Method 3, the best option for her. The woman had a terminal case of savior complex, but she wasn't a backstabber. Those leeches at the government building treated her like garbage, and she didn't turn on them. Plus, last night, I smirked. Last night was the down payment. Balance due based on performance. Morning. I opened the front door, and the cold tried to murder my face. Thermometer, -20. My breath crystallized instantly. Eyelashes frosted over in seconds. I had enough supplies in storage to hibernate until spring. But the apocalypse doesn't wait for lazy people. Back inside. Pulled out military greatcoats from storage. Then grabbed cardboard and soft plastic to sew reinforced padding over the vital spots. Chest, back, shoulders. Protection without sacrificing mobility. Took about an hour. I tossed the finished battle armor to Zhou Baiwan. Put it on. She unfolded it. Her eye twitched. Heavy, thick, army green. Looked like it was excavated from the bottom of a Cold War surplus warehouse. She put it on and instantly became a penguin. Sleeves dangling past her hands like opera costume water sleeves. Hem dragging on the floor, sweeping snow with every step. She looked in the mirror at the puffy green blob staring back at her and took a very deep breath. Last night, I crawled into this man's bed. And this is what I get to wear? She turned to me with eyes so full of resentment they could have drowned a city. I looked her up and down, nodded with satisfaction. Perfect. You've got meat shield potential. She inhaled so hard I thought she'd suck the wallpaper off. Team briefing in the living room. Lin Wei, level 2 ice type. Main damage dealer. Lin Wei nodded, forming an ice spike between her fingers. The extreme cold was boosting her powers. The spike was noticeably denser than usual. Tang Wan, backup damage. Handle stragglers and extract crystal cores. Tang Wan clenched her fist. Her flame was pitiful for frontline combat, but finishing off wounded zombies? Doable. Blade Shield Bro, you're the puller. You're fast and tough. Lure groups of zombies back to the kill zone. The dog sat tilted its head, made a garbled woof, and wagged its half-tail against the floor. Still injured, but power dog recovery was no joke. Those 2 chickens last night had done wonders. Zhou Baiwan. I looked at her penguin silhouette. Meat shield, her face went dark. Me? Meat shield, Her voice shot up 8 octaves. That's not what you said last night. I kept a perfectly straight face. Last night was last night. Today is today. In that outfit, not using you as a meat shield would be a waste. She was grinding her teeth so hard I could hear it across the room, probably replaying the memory of sneaking into my blanket and wishing she could travel back in time to slap herself. But she gave in. No powers equals no bargaining chips. I turned to Blade Shield Bro. Any objections? The dog sat up, opened its mouth, and clearly pronounced, Baka Waiaro. Everyone froze. I raised an eyebrow. You speak Japanese? Baka Waiaro. It repeated, head tilted. Linwei laughed. Did it learn that from whoever was abusing it? I thought about those Japanese guys from Golden Tripod Nightclub, Inoue, and his black-suited bodyguards. Looked at Blade Shield Bro's broken tail, busted leg, and scars everywhere. Probably. Baka Waiaro. Baka Waiaro. The dog was on a roll now. I pulled 2 chicken drumsticks from the fridge and waved them. Dead silence from the dog. Eyes locked on those drumsticks. Tail going helicopter mode. Still cursing, violent head shaking. Going to work, violent nodding. I tossed the drumsticks. Blade Shield Bro snatched one mid-air, retreated to its corner, and started gnawing with happy little grunts. Zhou Baiwan watched from the side, lip twitching. Even the dog gets chicken legs. I'm the meat shield and I get. You want chicken? I looked at her. Yes, zero hesitation. I grinned in a way that made her spine tingle. Tonight. I'll make sure you get some. She blinked. Huh. From the couch, Lin Wei and Tang Wan started giggling. Pancher Manor had a high-rise residential area nearby, several 30-story towers standing in the blizzard, glass facades mostly shattered, windows gaping black. Blade Shield Bro went inside one building for a casual stroll. The entire building went berserk. Zombie howls from every floor, hallways, rooms, stairwells, all activated at once. They smashed doors, knocked over cabinets, crashed through walls, pouring out like someone kicked an anthill. Survivors hiding inside were terrified. People under beds, inside wardrobes, mothers covering children's mouths. Nobody knew what happened, just that every zombie in the building simultaneously lost its mind. Blade Shield Bro finished its tour and came sprinting out. Apparently dissatisfied with the zombie's speed, it stopped at the building entrance and lifted its leg. One stream of dog urine sprayed across the front door. The stench carried for 2 miles. Zombies couldn't resist that. They came pouring out. 1, 2, 3. Gray skin, hollow eyes, mouths full of black blood, stumbling toward the source of that magnificent aroma. Blade Shield Bro turned and bolted, limping but fast, zigzagging through the snow, leading a parade of zombies straight toward our ambush point, occasionally glancing back. Yep, still following, then sprinting again. A dozen zombies on the upper floors couldn't even find the stairs. They just jumped from 10+ stories up, splatting into the snow, dragging themselves forward, absolutely determined to destroy the dog that had disrespected their home. Zombies were raining from the sky, literally. The ones Blade Shield Bro had lured from the upper floors just jumped, 20 stories straight down. Thud, thud, thud. Some broke their legs and kept crawling. Some cracked their skulls open, finally dead for real. Some shattered every bone in their body but were still squirming forward, dragging themselves with their chins. Zhou Baiwan's face went green. This stupid dog. You brought this many. She gripped her machete and charged in. First zombie lunged. She sidestepped and chopped its head open. Black blood hissing in the snow. Down it went, twitched twice, done. No time to breathe. Number 2 was already on her. That military coat was so thick and heavy she couldn't dodge in time. Zombie tackled her head-on, teeth clamping down on her chest. Crunch. The cardboard armor held. Didn't bite through, but the force knocked her backward 2 steps. She nearly had a heart attack, punched the zombie in the face, shoved it off, and hacked its neck clean through. She looked down at the bite marks on her chest. Teeth holes through the first layer of cardboard, but the second layer was intact. She turned and yelled at me. This thing actually works. I was standing at a safe distance, arms crossed. Nice job. Keep it up. She wanted to murder me more than the zombies. But more were coming, so she had to redirect that energy. Behind her, Lin Wei was launching ice spikes. First one, crooked, hit the wall, shattered into ice dust. Second one, off target, grazed a zombie's shoulder, kept going, buried itself in the snow. Third one, almost impaled Zhou Baiwan's butt. Linwei, watch where you're aiming. Sorry, I wasn't ready. Linwei took a breath. Focused. This time she waited, tracked the zombie rushing toward Zhou Baiwan, anticipated the trajectory, aimed at the back of its skull. Thwack. Ice spike straight through the brainstem. Zombie face-planted at Zhou Baiwan's feet. Dead. Got it. Lin Wei jumped with excitement. Tang Wan was on crystal core duty behind the front line. She crouched beside a corpse, knife in hand. Deep breath. Blade into the forehead. Twist. Crack. Skull opens. Flick the knife tip, and a rice grain-sized white crystal popped out onto the snow. She picked it up, wiped it in the snow, dropped it in the bag. Smooth. Natural. Like she'd done this 1,000 times. I watched and asked. Not grossed out? She shook her head. I'm a chef. I process chickens, ducks, and fish every day. I've handled pig brains. This is basically the same. Pause. Just smelly. I laughed. Blade Shield Bro came trotting back, plopped down at my feet, tongue hanging out, tail going wild. A few new scratches on its back, surface wounds. Power Dog Healing would fix those after a couple meals. I scratched its head. Good work. Extra drumstick tonight. Its eyes sparkled. Tail hit maximum RPM. The fight lasted over an hour. The area outside the residential tower was carpeted with zombie corpses, dozens of them, black blood staining a huge swath of snow. Ice spikes stuck in the ground like a frozen garden of death. The air was a gourmet blend of burnt flesh and rotting meat. Appetizing. Lin Wei collapsed against a wall, gasping, fingers too exhausted to lift. Continuous ice spike production was brutal on mental energy. Her face was pale, but her eyes were bright. Zhou Baiwan dropped straight into the snow, machete tossed aside. Her military coat was covered in black blood, cardboard bitten through in several spots, but the clothes underneath? Untouched. The design worked. Tang Wan crouched nearby, rubbing her sore knees, face saying, My 30-year-old body is filing for bankruptcy. Blade Shield Bro sprawled at my feet, licking its paw wounds, tail still tapping the snow. One beat at a time. I surveyed the battlefield. Nodded. Not bad. We continue this afternoon. Zhou Baiwan's head shot up from the snow. Afternoon 2, this was the appetizer. I looked toward a distant smoking building. The grain warehouse area has 10 times this many. She went quiet. Remembering those nights at the government building. Zombies crashing through windows, screaming, blood. Back then she thought zombies were the scariest thing in the world. Now she was volunteering to hunt them. I turned to leave. Let's eat. Tangjia, braised pork tonight. Tang Wan smiled. How about braised fish too? Deal. Blade Shield Bro heard. Braised pork, and scrambled up like it got electrocuted, limping after me at top speed, tail going full propeller. Zhou Baiwan sat in the snow watching our silhouettes walk away. Me in front, steady steps, back like a wall against the wind. Lin Wei behind me, casually spinning an ice spike between her fingers for fun. Tang Wan at the back, cradling the bag of crystals like a newborn. Blade Shield Bro hobbling alongside, occasionally glancing back at her like, hurry up, slow human. She laughed. Actually laughed. Screw it. Meat shield it is. At least she was alive. She stood up, slapped the snow off her butt, grabbed the machete, and jogged to catch up. 5 silhouettes stretched long by the setting sun, disappearing into the blowing snow. Back at the villa, everyone collapsed. Lin Wei face-planted into the armchair. Zhou Baiwan starfished on the carpet, coat open, sweater soaked with sweat underneath. Tang Wan leaned against the wall massaging her knees, face screaming. Retirement was supposed to be 20 years from now. Blade Shield Bro melted onto the couch cushion, tongue hanging sideways, panting like a broken accordion. Tang Wan put the crystal bag on the coffee table. I opened it and counted 90 cores. Rice grain sized, faintly glowing, piled together like tiny diamonds. I grabbed a handful and counted out 30. Slid them to my side of the table. I take 30%. Objections? Zhou Baiwan's head rose from the carpet like a zombie coming back to life. You didn't do anything. Why do you get 30%? I leaned back, crossed my legs, and counted on my fingers. I handled command. Who runs where, which zombie to hit, when to retreat. All me. I handled rescue. If I wasn't watching this morning, you'd have been bitten at least twice. I handled logistics, food, water, clothing, equipment. All from my supplies. I paused for maximum effect. And also, Cheering is exhausting, okay? Zhou Baiwan's eye twitched. She wanted to argue but couldn't. She remembered that morning. Zombie had her pinned, and I blasted it off her with a fireball. She remembered the military coat keeping her alive, the braised beef filling her stomach, the warm bed she slept in. All mine. She shut up. I split the remaining 60 cores into 4 piles. 15 each. Linwei pocketed hers casually. Level 2. 15 cores would keep her busy for 2 days. Tang-Wan cupped hers like precious gems. First time seeing crystal cores, and she already knew these little rocks were her ticket to staying alive. Blade Shield Bro had its 15 lined up on the couch cushion. It sniffed one, then scooped it up with its tongue, and, crunch, chewed it like a candy. Don't eat those. You're supposed to absorb them. Linwei panicked. The dog looked at her with pure innocence. Crystal already swallowed. It even licked its lips. Tasty. I waved it off. It's fine. Powered dogs absorb cores differently than humans. Chewing works. Actually absorbs faster that way. Blade Shield Bro heard the green light and immediately crunched another one. Like popcorn. Zhou Baiwan watched the dog eating crystals like candy, then looked at her own 15. She didn't even know how to absorb them. The realization hit. She was living worse than a dog. Literally. Lunch. I tossed beef, tomatoes, potatoes, and greens to Tang-Wan. Braised beef. Every female eye in the room lit up like a slot machine hitting jackpot. 30 minutes later, the kitchen was pumping out the most intoxicating smell. Rich beef, sweet sour tomato, warm spices. The sound of the lid lifting and broth bubbling was basically a symphony. Big chunks of beef, melt in your mouth tender, swimming in thick glossy sauce poured over rice. Every grain coated in dark savory goodness. Side of stir-fried greens, bright and garlicky. Chopsticks flying. Rice bowls refilled. Muffled, more please, between mouthfuls. Blade Shield Bro sat beside the table, staring, drool pooling on the floor in an actual puddle. I tossed it a chunk of beef. Snatched mid-air, corner retreat, happy grunting, propeller tail. After a 1-hour rest, I dropped the afternoon bomb. We're clearing building 2. New arrangement. Baiwan pulls aggro, Blade Shield Bro tanks. The dog's ears shot straight up. It woke from its nap looking horrified. Zhou Baiwan froze for 1 second. Then her mouth curled into the most evil grin I'd ever seen on a police officer. She turned to the dog with predator eyes, then produced a brass gong from somewhere. I have no idea where she found it, and whacked it. Gung. Blade Shield Bro launched off the couch like a furry missile, every hair standing on end, looking like a terrified porcupine. Baka Yaro. It barked at Zhou Baiwan in full panic mode. She smiled sweetly. You were so tough this morning, right? Pulling mobs, tanking hits, spitting fireballs. Your turn now. The dog dove behind my legs, pressing its head against my shin, whimpering with maximum puppy dog eyes. Message clear. Boss, I'm calling in sick this afternoon. I looked down. Still want tonight's drumstick? The whimpering paused. Braised pork? Tail wiggled once. Beef? It stood up, shook itself off, put on its, I guess I'll work, face, and trotted to the door. 2 steps out, it turned and shot Zhou Baiwan a look that clearly said, you, me, later. This isn't over. Zhou Baiwan followed with the gong, grinning ear to ear. Building 2. Zhou Baiwan marched inside, took a deep breath, and swung the gong. Gong, gong, gong. The sound detonated through the stairwell, rattling windows, echoing up and down like 10 people banging simultaneously. The building erupted. Zombie screams from every floor. Howling, crashing, doors smashing, furniture toppling. The whole structure shook. 15 minutes later, Zhou Baiwan came sprinting out, face white as paper. Behind her, a black wave of zombies, 40 at least, gray skin, empty eye sockets, mouths dripping black blood, flooding out like a broken dam. They're coming, they're coming, they're coming, she screamed toward the ambush zone, gong clanging wildly in her hand. Blade Shield Bro was crouched in the snow, watching the zombie tsunami pour out. Its legs were visibly shaking. It looked back at me. I stood at a safe distance, arms crossed, face clearly communicating. Go on then. Linwei and Tang-Wan were beside me, watching, waiting. The dog clenched its jaw, turned forward, and let out a roar. My blade shield. In that instant, every hair on its body stood rigid. Not fur anymore, but steel needles, gleaming silver in the sunlight. The entire dog transformed. Not a broken, limping stray anymore. A beast awakened. Eyes blazing with fury. First zombie lunged and bit its back. Crack. The zombie's teeth shattered. Fragments scattering, black blood leaking from its confused mouth. It stood there processing. Why did biting a dog destroy my mouth? Blade Shield Bro turned to Zhou Baiwan with the most smug dog face in history. Mouth curled up, tail pointed at the sky. Translation: see that? Zhou Baiwan watched from a distance, lip twitching violently. A dog, using abilities. While she, youngest squad captain in Hangzhou, decorated police officer, provincial official's daughter, had nothing. Something snapped inside her. Pure competitive rage. She grabbed the gong, turned around, and charged back into Building 2. Gong, gong, gong. This time she was hitting it like she was trying to shatter reality itself. Every swing powered by years of pride, frustration, and the absolute indignity of being outperformed by a canine. Blade Shield Bro had just finished its victory pose when new howling erupted from the building. It turned around. Another wave, even bigger than before. 50-plus zombies flooding out like an avalanche of gray death. Its smug face collapsed instantly. Baka Yaro, it barked toward where Zhou Baiwan had disappeared, voice cracking with fury and betrayal. This woman is evil. Evil. Dozens of zombies swarmed Blade Shield Bro like it was an all-you-can-eat buffet. One grabbed its bad leg, the one that was still healing, and bit down. AWOO. The dog screamed and kicked it off, but the rest were already closing in. 5, 10. A whole wall of gray hands and gnashing teeth. They bit its back, legs, ears, even its sad little half-tail. The steel needle fur held. Nothing penetrated, but being chewed on from every direction by a zombie mob is not a relaxing massage. The dog was thrashing left and right, completely surrounded, drowning in a sea of undead. Like a furry pinball trapped in the world's worst machine. Then something changed. Blade Shield Bro closed its eyes. Every drop of energy in its body rushed upward through its throat. The air went still. Boom. A lightning ball erupted from its mouth, head-sized, silver, tiny electric arcs crackling across the surface, trailing a blazing tail as it plowed into the zombie pile. The explosion was deafening. Zombie parts launched skyward. Black blood rained down, punching holes in the snow. Half-bodies still squirming, burning zombies rolling on the ground shrieking. Total carnage. Blade Shield Bro stood in the middle of it all, legs shaking like 4 noodles, eyes glazed over. Then it rolled its eyes back and face-planted into the snow. Thump. Out cold. The lightning ball had drained every last drop of energy in its tiny level, one body. Zhou Baiwan had just come running out of the building. Her victorious grin froze on her face. The gong slipped from her fingers, clang, as she watched the remaining zombies bypass their burning comrades and charge toward the unconscious dog. Blade Shield Bro, Lin Wei screamed. I slapped my own forehead. Right. This dog was only level 1. In my past life, Blade Shield Bro was an absolute unit. Dual-mode fighter, physical form with knife and shield, magic form with lightning maxed out. But that was after full evolution. Right now it was basically a puppy that knocked itself out, throwing one party trick. No more spectating. I vanished. Reappeared in the middle of the zombie crowd. Grabbed Blade Shield Bro by the scruff of its neck, like picking up a sack of potatoes. The dog was limp, tongue dangling, belly rising and falling, still breathing. Just completely offline. I blinked again, 10 meters away in an open clearing. Tossed the dog to Lin Wei. Turned to face the confused zombies. Raised my hand. A fireball condensed in my palm, fist-sized, crimson, more than twice the size of Blade Shield Bro's lightning ball. The air around it warped and bent. Snow beneath my feet started melting, revealing black dirt underneath. Burst fireball. It launched, trailing a comet tail of flame, and slammed into the center of the zombie horde. Boom. 10 times the explosion from before. Fire mushrooming upward, shockwave rolling outward, a 2-meter crater blown into the earth. Zombies didn't even get to scream, just instantly atomized. Black blood and body parts arcing through the sky like the world's most disgusting fireworks display. The blast echoed between the buildings. Glass shards rained down from Building 2's remaining windows. When the dust settled, one blackened crater, a ring of smoking debris, and 0 zombies. Zhou Baiwan stood with her jaw on the floor. Lin Wei clutched the unconscious dog, equally frozen. Tang Wan was hiding behind a tree, peeked out, saw the devastation, and hid again. I dusted off my hands and walked back, shoes crunching on snow. What are you standing around for? Collect the cores. I looked at the smoldering remains and frowned. That blast probably destroyed at least 20 cores. I looked at Zhou Baiwan. You're paying those back tomorrow. She snapped out of it, face going green. Why me? The stupid dog blew itself up. You pulled the aggro. You assigned it as tank. You banged the gong. She opened her mouth. Closed it. Opened it. Couldn't win. She gritted her teeth, crouched down, and started digging through charred zombie remains, muttering curses under her breath. Unclear whether she was cursing me or the dog. I took Blade Shield Bro from Lin Wei and weighed it in my hands. Heavy little furball. Warm belly. Still wide-eyed, tongue out, paws occasionally twitching, dreaming about chickens, probably. I patted its head. Extra drumstick tonight. Even unconscious, its tail gave one tiny wag. The rest of the afternoon, we finished clearing Building 2. Zombie carpet everywhere. Black blood, ice spikes, burnt remains, the usual decor. Survivors inside the building started peeking out from broken windows, staring at the massacre below. Some covered their mouths, some hid behind curtains with one eye showing, some crawled under beds pretending nothing happened. I was teaching Zhou Baiwan proper crystal core extraction technique when a voice floated down from above. Hey, young man, help us out. Send some food up. I'll give you $1 million. The voice echoed down from roughly the 15th floor, dripping with that automatic rich person arrogance, like he was tipping a valet. I looked up. Round face, greasy shine, expensive cashmere sweater, gold chain catching sunlight. One hand waving from the windowsill. Behind him, 2 young women peeking from behind curtains, too scared to fully show themselves. I glanced up for about half a second, then looked back down and kept working. Not even worth a response. The guy upstairs wasn't giving up. His voice went up several notches. 3 million. 3 million. That's enough for the rest of your life? I snorted and tossed another core into the bag. 3 million? 3 billion wouldn't buy a sandwich right now. Money was paper. Not even good toilet paper. Too stiff. Not even good firewood. Burns too fast. 8 million. No, 10 million. I'm Xiedaowei. Everyone in Hangqing knows me. I've got assets worth hundreds of millions. Send food up and 10 million hits your account instantly. I didn't look up. How many bread rolls does 10 million buy? Silence from above. Xiedaowei had apparently never considered this question in his entire life. In his world, money solved everything. Apocalypse? Surely you still need money to survive? Money makes the world go round. He believed that for decades. Then he yanked 2 young women to the window and shoved them forward. They stumbled, nearly fell, wearing thin pajamas in freezing wind, shivering violently, tear-streaked faces. But undeniably beautiful. Identical twins. Look, twin college girls. Premium quality. They're yours. Do whatever you want. He patted their shoulders like a car dealer showing off the leather interior. I glanced up for exactly 1 second. Twins. Sure. Pretty. But in the apocalypse, what's the most worthless commodity? People with no powers, no skills, and no combat ability. I looked back down and kept sorting crystals. Xiedaowei's smile finally cracked. He shoved the girls aside, leaned out the window, face purple with rage. Don't push your luck. When I stomp in Hangqing, the ground shakes. Who do you think you? I raised my hand. 1 fireball. Fist-sized. Orange trail. Precision guided straight to the wall next to his window. Boom. Bricks exploding, glass shattering, debris raining down like hail. Xiedaowei shrieked and scrambled backward, a sound like a chicken getting strangled. The window frame was smoking. A charred crater in the wall exposed the brickwork underneath. Every head in every window in the building instantly retracted, like a building full of turtles. Peace and quiet at last. I pulled my hand back and kicked Zhou Baiwan's butt. Stop spacing out. Pick the cores. Her eye twitched. Lin Wei walked over quietly. Why don't those people come down and find their own food? They're scared. But we killed all the zombies. They can see it's safe. Knowing it's safe and having the guts to step outside are 2 different things. I stood up and cracked my wrists. During extreme cold, zombies can barely move. Even their sense of smell is mostly frozen. This is the safest period of the entire apocalypse. Bundle up, go scavenge, 0 problems. I glanced up at all those shut windows. Who knew how many eyes were hiding behind them? But they won't. They'd rather starve, freeze, and die in their rooms than take one step outside. Because they're used to waiting for rescue. Waiting for the government, the army, someone to deliver food to their door. After the cold passes, zombies evolve. Every day they get stronger just by breathing. By then it'll be too late. Zhou Baiwan asked quietly. Will they die? Most of them. I said it like I was commenting on the weather. The apocalypse belongs to powered people. Normal humans either find a base and serve the strong, or they die. Zhou Baiwan looked down at her own hands. No powers, just a machete and cardboard armor. She realized she wasn't that much better off than the people hiding upstairs. We worked until evening. Building 2, cleared. Zombie bodies everywhere, black blood turning the snow gray. The air was pure concentrated nausea. Final count, 100 cores. Even more than the morning haul. Zhou Baiwan collapsed flat on her back in the snow, arms and legs spread out, gasping at the sky. Her coat was black with zombie blood, cardboard chewed through in multiple spots, hair looking like a bird built a nest in it. Li Chang'e, her voice was a whisper from the grave. Just beat me to death. I raised an eyebrow. I can't do this anymore. I've been killing zombies all day. I can't lift my arms. Kill me now, and I won't have to work tomorrow. I pulled the belt from my waist and cracked it in the air. Snap! Zhou Baiwan's hands teleported to her backside. She launched off the snow like she'd been electrocuted. Fastest movement she'd made all day. Then she saw my grin. You were bluffing, and you bought it. I put the belt back. Let's go. Dinner. She stood there staring at my back, lip twitching. Looked down at the snow. A perfect body-shaped crater, still steaming. She slapped the snow off her butt and followed. Back home, Tangwan had already returned early. I'd sent her ahead to cook. Blade Shield Bro went with her as protection. Translation: the dog wanted to skip work and eat first. The kitchen smells hit us at the door. Sizzling, bubbling, crackling, the holy trinity of sounds. The table was a feast. Braised pork knuckle, glossy red-brown skin so tender chopsticks went right through, revealing silky, white meat underneath. Clay pot chicken, bread pieces soaked in broth, edges crispy, one bite, and soup spurted out. Sichuan fish, buried under a mountain of chilies and peppercorns, hot oil still sizzling on top. Oyster sauce lettuce, shredded chicken salad, smashed cucumber, spicy sour cabbage. Plates touching plates, bowls touching bowls. In the corner, a massive pot of braised meats, drumsticks, duck legs, wings, slow-cooked all afternoon with star anise, cinnamon, and bay leaves. Specifically prepared for Blade Shield Bro. Everyone was too exhausted to move. Just lying on the couch, letting the smells wash over them. Blade Shield Bro was sprawled by the heater, belly round as a basketball, snoring softly, completely motionless. Obviously had already eaten. Zhou Baiwan stared at it for 3 seconds. Then she exploded off the couch. That dog has been faking it the whole time. It shot one lightning ball this afternoon and passed out. Total ACT, my eyebrow went up. Now that she mentioned it. When the dog fainted earlier, I hadn't thought twice. But looking at it now, belly full, well-rested, snoring peacefully while we'd been grinding all afternoon. This dog might actually be a con artist. Needed to test its limits. Soon, Zhou Baiwan suddenly connected the dots. This afternoon, when Blade Shield Bro fainted, after that lightning ball, she'd felt genuinely worried. She'd volunteered to replace it as meat shield, got chased and chewed on by zombies for hours, military coat looking like Swiss cheese. And this dog came home, woke up, ate chicken legs, and took a nap by the heater? You filthy mutt. I'm going to kill you and make dog stew. She launched herself at the couch. Blade Shield Bro didn't even have its eyes open before a fist connected with its right eye socket. Wham! AWOO, the dog went full porcupine mode, first standing on end. Baka Yaro. What was that for? You faked it. Another fist incoming. I was your meat shield all afternoon. And you were pretending. Blade Shield Bro dodged left and right, paws sliding on the couch fabric. I was really unconscious. Really? Asked that man. You woke up and kept pretending. I just woke up. Just now. I smelled chicken and my body reacted. It's called a reflex. Reflex my foot. Absolute chaos in the living room. The dog leaped from couch to coffee table to TV cabinet, its tail knocking over a flower vase. Crash, shards everywhere. Zhou Baiwan chased it barefoot after losing a slipper, one bare foot slapping the floor. Lin Wei was curled in the corner hugging a cushion, crying from laughter. Tang Wan poked her head out of the kitchen holding a spatula, shaking her head in resignation. My brain was throbbing. Enough! Both froze instantly. Blade Shield Bro was perched on the TV cabinet, one eye already swelling purple, still muttering curses, tail tucked under its butt. Zhou Baiwan stood below, one shoe missing, hair wild, chest heaving. I pointed at the dinner table. One more sound and nobody eats tonight. Instant silence. The dog teleported to the table. Zhou Baiwan retrieved her slipper and sat down like nothing happened. Everyone demolished dinner. Pork knuckle reduced to bare bone. Clay pot chicken broth mixed with rice, not a grain left. Sichuan fish picked, so clean the skeleton could go in a museum. Lin Wei even drank the oyster sauce lettuce drippings straight from the plate. Blade Shield Bro ate again, second dinner, getting rounder by the hour, fur actually getting shinier. Loot distribution. 100 cores on the coffee table. I took 40. My cut. 40%. Zhou Baiwan said nothing this time. This afternoon I'd saved the dog's life and nuked an entire zombie horde. Fair enough. Remaining 60 split 4 ways, 15 each. Lin Wei pocketed hers casually. Tang Wan wrapped hers in a handkerchief and buried them in her deepest pocket. Counted twice. Blade Shield Bro crunched through its share like popcorn. Night. Quiet settled over the villa. Lin Wei absorbed cores in the corner, faint blue light pulsing in her palm. Tang Wan washed dishes. Zhou Baiwan dozed on the couch under her military coat, one bare ankle poking out. Blade Shield Bro was belly up on the floor, paws dream twitching. I stood by the window. Snow had stopped. Gray sky. Buildings in the distance like rows of tombstones. I rolled a level, one core between my fingers, then tossed it back in the bag. Useless to me now. At level 3, absorbing these was like filling a swimming pool with an eyedropper. Needed level, 2 cores from stronger zombies after the cold passed. My eyes drifted toward the horizon. 15 kilometers away, the Hangqin grain warehouse. Enough food to feed the entire city for 10 years. I needed that place. At that very moment, at the grain warehouse rooftop, a dozen people were crammed into a tiny storage closet, maybe 8 square meters. Mops, brooms, cleaning supplies, and some maybe expired water bottles. The air was a delightful cocktail of disinfectant, body odor, and fear. Windows boarded shut, moonlight leaking through cracks like prison bars. They were the filming crew of some variety show called Go For It, Sisters, in town to shoot at the grain warehouse when the apocalypse rudely interrupted production. Director, camera operators, stagehands, and a few celebrities. Nobody got out. A pretty boy idol was in the corner, examining his manicured fingers, eyeliner smudged into panda eyes, whining in a thin voice. Director. When is rescue coming? My facial toner is almost empty. A heavily made-up girl immediately chimed in. Seriously, director? My skin is peeling without moisturizer. I literally cannot survive without skincare. She held up her hand in the dim light, inspecting it like a damaged luxury item. Another guy waved his phone around. There's no signal. I can't post updates. My fans must be so worried. My fans too. My agent can't reach me. The director, a short guy barely over 140 centimeters, nickname, Director 4, crouched by the door, silent, peering through the crack. Then his ears twitched. He spun around, voice sharp and urgent. It's coming. Quick. Mimi, mental shield now. Meanwhile, 15 kilometers away at the grain warehouse I had my eye on, things were getting spicy. A woman they called Mimi, or Honey Sister, was sitting against the wall in a tiny storage closet on the roof. Injured leg wrapped in bloody bandages, face white as paper, lips cracked. But her eyes were alive. The short director, a guy barely 140 centimeters tall, nicknamed Director 4, suddenly tensed at the door crack. His ears twitched. It's coming. Mimi, mental shield now, no hesitation. She crossed her arms over her chest, closed her eyes, lips barely moving like she was chanting. An invisible ripple spread from her body. No sound, no light, but everyone felt it, like someone clamped a hand over their mouths and pressed pause on their heartbeats. The air turned thick. Breathing became hard. Even blood seemed to slow down. This wasn't sound blocking. This was existence blocking. The entire closet and everyone inside just vanished from the world's awareness. Not physically, perceptually. Whatever was out there couldn't sense them anymore. Outside, a shriek ripped through the air. Not human. Not regular zombie. Like something with broken glass jammed in its throat, forcing sound out. The noise made your eardrums want to file a complaint. Then, footsteps. Heavy. Massive. Each one shaking the floor, vibrating the walls, raining dust from the ceiling. Something enormous was walking nearby, and every step landed directly on everyone's heart. Inside the closet, total paralysis. A pretty boy idol named Shao Kun had frozen mid-complaint, his signature orchid finger pose stuck in the air, tears streaming silently down his face, washing streaks through his ruined makeup. He looked like a melting panda. Director 4 crouched at the door, one hand on the wood. A faint glow flickered across his palm and vanished. He was reading the vibrations, tracking the thing's movement through the building's tremors. The footsteps got closer. Closer. Thud. 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 Right outside the door. Meters away. The floor was shaking. Wall plaster crumbling. People covered their mouths, closed their eyes, buried faces in knees. One girl collapsed on the floor, shaking uncontrollably, tears soaking through her pants without a sound. Mimi's forehead was drenched in sweat. Her hands trembled. Maintaining that mental shield was draining her dry. She hadn't slept in days. Her energy was a candle in a hurricane, flickering, almost gone. But she held on. She thought about her daughter, a 6-year-old named Michuanzi. Little pigtails, missing front tooth, gap-toothed smile. Mommy come home soon. The phone wallpaper she kept checking. And Xiao Di, her friend and colleague, watching over the kid at home. Her grip tightened. An eternity passed. Maybe a minute. Maybe a century. The footsteps began to fade. Thud. 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 Softer. Farther. Gone. Mimi's body swayed. Her arms dropped. She slumped against the wall, gasping, face even whiter than before, lips completely bloodless. Director 4 gave her a nod. Thanks. Slowly, people dared to move again. Shao Kun lay flat on the floor, breathing like a fish on land. Makeup completely destroyed, orchid fingers still frozen in a trembling claw. Mimi pulled herself up using the wall. Her injured leg leaked fresh blood through the bandage. She gritted her teeth and forced herself straight. Tall, over 170 centimeters, towering over everyone in the room, even in her wrecked state. She limped to Director 4. Xiao Si, I need to go home. Michuanzi and Xiao Di are waiting for me. He looked up. His head only reached her chest, and shook his head. Not now. Zombies, monsters, minus whatever degrees outside. Your leg is busted. Going out is suicide. Shao Kun immediately grabbed her sleeve, voice cracking. Mimi Jia, don't leave us. You and Director 4 are the only powered people here. If you go, we're dead. Everyone piled on, begging, pleading, someone actually dropping to their knees on the cold concrete. Mimi looked at them. Scared kids, shaking, starving, hollow-eyed. She said nothing. Turned to the boarded window. Through the cracks, gray sky, endless white, moonlight on the floor like prison bars. Then her breath stopped. A pale, dead, hollow eye socket appeared in the crack between the boards, staring directly into hers. Next morning, I grabbed Blade Shield Bro by the scruff and yanked it out of its cozy nest. The dog was mid-dream, legs still pedaling in the air, completely confused about why it was suddenly airborne. Time to test your limits. And that little fainting act? We're settling that score. I chucked it into the snow. It landed, instantly went defensive. Hackles up, teeth bared, growling. Baka Wayaro. I'm not your employee. I'm not a working dog. Then it lunged at me. I sidestepped, grabbed its neck scruff, and smooshed its face into the snow. Oh, whoa. Done cursing? Baka, OW. Whoa. Okay, I'll stop. For the next few minutes. The entire neighborhood echoed with the most pathetic dog yelping known to mankind. Sounded like a canine murder scene. Blade Shield Bro ended up on the ground, paws over its head, tail tucked, one eye already purple from yesterday, the other filling with tears. Maximum pathetic. I crouched down and patted its head. Perform well, and there's a reward. One ear perked up. When I build my base, you get an elder title, both ears. Eyes sparkling. Tail initiating wag sequence. Elders eat whatever they want. Unlimited drumsticks. tail accelerating. Plus your own personal bed. Velvet, Blade Shield Bro launched to its feet, shook off the snow, and transformed into the most motivated dog on planet Earth. Like someone swapped the batteries. Then it showed me what it could really do. It sprinted to the open yard, faced a ruined apartment building, and opened fire. Lightning ball. Boom. Basin-sized crater in the wall. It glanced back at me. You see that? Smug dog grin at maximum. Another one. Boom. Another. Boom. They kept coming. Lightning balls launching like it had a factory in its stomach. I counted. 1, 2, 3, 6, 7, 8. After 8, it paused, caught its breath, looked at me. My face went dark. This fraud. Last time it shot 1 lightning ball and passed out. Now it's casually firing 8 and still standing? It had even fooled me. Keep going. It flinched, then fired number 9. Then 10. After 10, it finally stopped. Tongue out, panting hard, legs trembling, but still on its feet. I went silent. When I was level 1, I could only manage 6 fireballs. This dog, same level, just fired 10 lightning balls and was still conscious. The power potential was terrifying. No wonder in my past life, the strongest human fighters couldn't handle this mutt. Zhou Baiwan's words echoed in my head. I'm worse than a dog. Yeah, honestly, we all might be. Back at the villa, the dog was completely spent. Belly up on the floor, tongue hanging out like a deflated balloon. But it still remembered food. Its tongue weakly scooped up a crystal core. Crunch. Another. Crunch. Third one. Crunch. This crunch was different. Blinding light exploded from the dog's body, beams shooting through its fur, illuminating the entire living room like a furry disco ball. 3 seconds later, the light faded. Blade Shield Bro stood up, shook itself off. Its fur was gorgeous now, golden, gleaming, healthy. The black eye from Zhou Baiwan's punch. Completely healed. Eyes sharp and bright. It held its head high, tail pointed at the ceiling. Level 2. 2 days. From the moment I adopted this mangy skeleton to right now. 2 days, and it hit level 2. In my past life, it took me 3 months to reach level 2. This dog got there by eating chicken, fake fainting, and crunching crystals like candy. I stared at its smug little face and took a very deep breath. Fine. My dog. I'll deal with it. Near noon, the 3 women returned from a supply run through Building 1. Zhou Baiwan leading the charge with bags swinging. Lin Wei carrying armfuls of clothes. Tang Wan bringing up the rear with plastic bags. Haul. Some thick coats, 2 blankets, toiletries, expired cookies, a case of water. Slim pickings. Most rooms had already been raided by hiding survivors who were brave enough to scavenge inside, but too scared to step outside. Lin Wei mentioned they'd found a working radio on the 3rd floor. No signal though, just static. Normal. Only military and major bases could broadcast right now. Nothing nearby yet. After lunch, I gathered everyone. Here's the plan. 3 women and 1 dog. All eyes on me. First, everyone hits level 3. ASAP. Lin Wei's close. Blade Shield Bro just hit 2. Tang Wan. Push harder. I glanced at Zhou Baiwan. Zhou Baiwan, never mind. Not your problem. She looked down. Practice your knife skills for now. I'll figure something out for you later. She nodded quietly. Second, once we're all level 3, we're taking the Hangchang grain warehouse. Lin Wei's eyes lit up. There's a lot of food there. Enough to feed the whole city for 10 years. We need to secure it before the cold ends. Tang Wan asked softly. Will there be zombies inside? Yes. Dangerous ones. That's why everyone needs to be level 3 first. I paused. Third, I'm building a base. Every female eye in the room went supernova. A base. Their own place. Safe walls. Food. Hot water. Home. Blade Shield Bro's tail started going. But, I continued, no ordinary humans allowed. The room went quiet. Zhou Baiwan wanted to argue about the no ordinary humans rule. I could see it on her face, but she swallowed it. Good. She was learning. Let me be clear. This is the apocalypse. I don't feed freeloaders. Can't fight. Can't work. Can't learn. Don't bother showing up. Even cannon fodder gets in the way. Want someone to attract zombies? Blade Shield Bro does that for a few bones. The dog heard its name and wagged proudly. Zhou Baiwan looked at the smug mutt, and her eye twitched. Over the next several days, I sent the girls and the dog to bulldoze through every remaining building in the neighborhood. 1, 2, 3, one after another like a conveyor belt of zombie extermination. Lin Wei's ice spikes went from, couldn't hit the ocean from a boat, to sniper-level precision. Tang Wan's pitiful flame grew into actual fireballs. Not MY level, but solid backup damage. Zhou Baiwan's knife work got razor-sharp. One chop per zombie, clean and efficient. Her military coat so crusted with black blood, it was basically armor now. And Blade Shield bro? That dog became the carry. Lightning balls flying with pinpoint accuracy, vaporizing zombies on impact. It even invented a new move, sweeping snow with its tail to trip zombies, then biting their necks. Dirty trick? Absolutely. Effective? Extremely. 600 cores piled on the coffee table like a small mountain of crushed ice. Crystal absorption speed depended on potential. Lin Wei's A-rank ice ability. 20 minutes per core, 50 cores to level up. Tang Wan's D-rank fire. 2 hours per core, 80 to level up. Blade Shield bro, crunch them like snacks. Not even comparable. Lin Wei hit level 3 first. Then Blade Shield bro. Tang Wan came last. A full day behind the dog. Everyone at level 3. Zhou Baiwan had no powers, but I forged her an alloy machete using my S-rank flames. Metal pulled from junked car engines, heated and shaped until it was incredibly hard and wickedly sharp. Not pretty, but deadly. Level 1 cores were basically useless for absorption now, but they still worked as emergency energy refills mid-combat, pocket batteries. Everyone carries 10 cores when we go out. Run dry, pop 1. Don't be stingy. The weather was slowly warming. -20, -15, -10, stabilizing around -7 or 8. Snow stopped. Wind died down. Occasional sunshine even. From my past life memory, this extreme cold lasted about 2 weeks. Today was day 11. Clock was ticking. After lunch, I sent the team to clear the last building while I grabbed the car keys. Solo trip to scout the grain warehouse. I had teleportation. If things went sideways, I could bail. Fired up the Mengsure. Smashed through a fence on the way out. Headed toward the warehouse. Driving at 60, the world outside was still white. I started seeing survivors. People in blankets pushing shopping carts of frozen food. Someone poking through garbage with a stick. People waving from roadsides. Voices shredded by wind. I didn't stop. Anyone stupid enough to block the road got driven over. Not cruelty, mercy. After the cold ends, life for powerless humans gets infinitely worse. 15 minutes later, the grain warehouse. Front gate smashed open, iron door hanging crooked. Blood smeared across the perimeter walls. Sections of wall collapsed, bricks scattered. Guard booth windows shattered, pitch black inside. Skeletal remains on the ground wearing tattered clothes that flapped in the wind like they were waving hello. I parked, got out, and teleported to the warehouse roof. Level 3 upgrade. Teleport range jumped from 20 meters to 100. The tin roof was rusted and groaned under my weight. I crouched down and looked below. My stomach dropped. The yard was packed with overturned trucks, some smashed together, some flipped, some with open cargo doors spilling frozen grain everywhere. But the trucks weren't the problem. Between the trucks, across the open ground, along the walls, hundreds of zombies. Shuffling, wandering, filling the space like a gray ocean. And among them, several noticeably larger ones. Bulging muscles, dark gray skin with a metallic sheen in the sunlight. Moving through the horde like supervisors patrolling a factory floor. Level 2 zombies. At least 7 or 8. My brow furrowed. Hundreds of zombies was basically a mini zombie tide. This warehouse was in the middle of nowhere. No major population nearby. Where did they all come from? Unless something was attracting them here. Then, from deep inside the warehouse, thud, thud, thud. Not footsteps. A heartbeat. Heavy as thunder. Each pulse hammering my chest like a physical blow. The tin roof vibrated beneath me, rust flaking off. I pressed my hand flat and felt the low-frequency tremor through the metal. Every zombie in the yard dropped to the ground simultaneously. Hundreds of them. All at once. Face down. Like subjects bowing before a king. Every zombie in the yard was bowing. Hundreds of them. Some on the ground. Some draped over trucks. Some piled on each other. Trembling. Heads buried. Like peasants before a king. Even the level 2s were crouching with their heads down. Too terrified to twitch. My pupils shrank. A mutant. A high-level mutant. I'd seen this in my past life. Powerful mutants attract nearby zombies like a magnet. Regular zombies that hang around them evolve way faster. That explained why this remote warehouse had hundreds of zombies squatting outside like it was a zombie convention. From the sound of that heartbeat, level 4. At minimum. Curiosity 1. I crept toward the source. A massive warehouse, bigger than the others, rusted walls, faded letters. The door was closed, but something had rammed it from the inside, bending the metal outward like a pregnant belly. I teleported to the roof, pressed my ear against the tin, breathing, deep, heavy, like a giant bellows. Every inhale made the metal vibrate under my cheek. I found a crack and peeked through. Inside, in the darkness, something was crouching. 3 meters tall, a mountain of muscle. Skin pitch black, covered in cracks like dried mud. Bald head, no eyes, just a huge mouth splitting its face ear to ear, lined with rows of serrated teeth. Chunks of blackened meat still hanging from them. Its chest was heaving, each breath inflating its torso like a balloon, then slowly deflating. Level for mutant. Strength type. Thick skin, hard to kill. At its feet, 3 zombies lay flat. Not lying, prostrating. Belly down, faces toward the mutant, postures so reverent they looked like they were on a religious pilgrimage. These 3 were bigger than the level 2s outside. Metallic skin, visible muscle definition. Level 3. 3 level, 3 zombies. I stopped breathing. Tried to slow my heartbeat. Failed, it was going too fast. Retreat. Must retreat. Fighting above my level was already insane. 1 versus 4, with 1 being a level for tank? I'd have to be suicidal. I considered my sniper rifle. Decent against level 3s. Against a level, for strength mutant? Might as well throw pebbles. And my marksmanship was, let's say, developing. But leaving the mutant here to keep evolving? Once it hit level 5, this warehouse and all its grain was gone. A level 5 mutant wasn't something I could handle alone. I gritted my teeth. Try. Just once. Doesn't work? I run. I squeeze 2 level, 1 cores in my palm. Cold, hard little pebbles. Drain their energy to top off my power. Then I pick my target, the smallest level, 3 zombie. Thinner than the other 2, gray-white skin without the metallic sheen, probably freshly promoted. And its posture was different, half crouching instead of flat, front limbs propping it up like it was meditating. Mage type. Weakest physical defense. 1 good slash and done. It was sitting several meters away from the other 2 level 3s. The big mutant had its eyes closed. Well, its eye sockets closed, breathing rhythmically like it was napping. Now or never. I teleported. Vanished from the roof. Appeared less than a meter behind the mage zombie. Close enough to see the tiny scales on its neck. Fire ability activated simultaneously. A crimson short blade condensed in my palm. Edge thin as a cicada wing, air warping around it. 0 heat leaking. Every drop of energy compressed into the blade, nothing wasted. 1 swing. Silent. The blade went through its neck like cutting tofu. Head flew off, stump charred black, not a single drop of blood. The body didn't even flinch, still frozen in its meditation pose, fingers unmoved. I grabbed the head, ready to teleport out. RARR. The level 4 mutant's eyes. Eye sockets snapped open. 2 black pits aimed directly at me like gun barrels. The roar hit me. Not sound. A sonic attack. An invisible wall of force slamming into my skull. My brain felt like someone took a sledgehammer to it. Vision went black. Ears filled with nothing but ringing. The world started spinning like a broken carousel. My body stopped responding. Arms and legs filled with concrete. Fingers wouldn't move. Stomach churning. Wanted to vomit. But my throat was locked shut. Are you kidding me? This thing has sonic attacks? A strength-type mutant with crowd control? Dual class? That's cheating. The mutant stood up. 3 meters of solid muscle blocking out the light above me. 2 fists clenched, each one bigger than my head. Covered in bone spikes, every spike finger length, gleaming in the dim warehouse. It knew exactly where I was. No eyes needed. 1 fist came down. The wind pressure arrived first, slicing across my face like a blade. The air screamed as it compressed. The sheer force of the wind was pushing me off balance before the fist even arrived. Cold sweat poured down my body. Move. Move. My brain was screaming at limbs that wouldn't listen. The fist got bigger. Closer. I could see every bone spike in detail. Some curved, some straight, some forked. Nature's most creative murder accessories. Move already. Then, my fingers twitched. The paralysis broke like a dam. Sensation flooding back, fingertips to elbows, toes to knees, everything online in one instant. I grabbed the severed head and teleported. The fist hit where I'd been standing. Boom. Half-meter crater in the concrete. Cracks spiderwebbing across the floor to the walls. Stone shrapnel rocketing everywhere. Some pieces clipping the space I'd just vacated, a few grazing my back on exit. I materialized on the rooftop. Gasping. Chest exploding. Heart trying to escape through my throat. Back completely soaked, cold sweat turning to ice in the wind. I looked down at the crater below. The distance between where that fist landed and where I'd been standing? Maybe the width of one hand. I'd felt the heat of the punch brush my back. You disgusting piece of, wait for me. Next time I come back, I'm putting you down. I crouched on the tin roof, breathing like I'd just sprinted a marathon, calculating whether a level 3 fighter could actually kill a level 4 dual-type mutant with sonic control and bone-spike fists. The math was not encouraging. I cracked open that level 3 zombie skull right there on the tin roof. Fire knife through bone, flick the wrist, and out popped a crystal core the size of my thumb. This wasn't like those pathetic rice grain level 1 cores. This thing was blinding. Like holding a tiny light bulb. I could feel the violent energy inside it. Warm, pulsing, alive. Like gripping a little ball of condensed fury. Into the storage space. Gone. Mine. I teleported to the Manhwa, fired the engine, and floored it. In the rear-view mirror, the warehouse compound disappearing in a cloud of dust. The mutants' roar shaking my car windows from hundreds of meters away. A few level 2 zombies chased out the gate, ran a few steps, then noped back inside. My hands were shaking on the steering wheel. Not cold. Pure adrenaline-fueled terror catching up with me. 1 hand width. That fist missed me by 1 hand width. If my paralysis had lasted 0.01 seconds longer, I'd be a red smear on a warehouse floor. Deep breath. Another. 1 more. Shove the fear down. Shove the heartbeat down. Shove the, I almost died, thoughts into a mental dumpster and slam the lid. But, level 3 crystal core, secured. I did the math. With this core plus the nightly boost from Lin Wei, I needed about 30 more level 3 cores to hit level 4. At level 4, that warehouse mutant would be mine. The extreme cold wasn't even over and zombies were already evolving. Not great. Sun was still up, few hours of daylight left. Might as well hunt for more level 2 or 3 zombies in the area. I pulled out the core one more time for a look. Thumb-sized, crystal clear, a dark red something swirling inside it like it was alive. A frozen star. And it was fire-type compatible. Same as me. Grinning, I pocketed it and kept driving. The warehouse shrank to a dot in my mirror. The mutants' screaming faded to nothing. Just wind and engine roar. Sunset was starting, orange light painting the snow gold. Then, boom, boom, boom. Explosions from a few hundred meters away. A gas station was going up like a volcano. Fire erupting from underground. Black smoke mushrooming into the sky. Sparks spiraling upward. Another blast rocked the Manhwa, several tons of military vehicle, and it swayed. Windows buzzing, steering wheel vibrating in my hands. Through the fire came a zombie shriek. Not the regular groaning. A furious, glass-on chalkboard screech that physically hurt my eardrums. Another high-level zombie. I yanked the wheel. The Manhwa drifted on the ice, tires smoking, and I aimed straight for the explosion. The gas station was an inferno. Ice completely melted, exposing scorched black concrete underneath, steam rising. Fuel pumps blown to pieces, gasoline rivers on fire. The whole area one giant bonfire. A dozen regular zombies were burning inside the flames, skin crackling, flesh peeling off, bones showing through. They stumbled, fell, crawled, fell again, and finally stopped moving. From a small building behind the station. Help. Somebody. Please. I parked, stored the Manhwa, and teleported to a nearby high-rise rooftop for a better view. Down in the gas station clearing stood one zombie. Not ordinary. 2 meters tall. Its entire body was glowing red, like heated iron. Skin covered in cracks with actual lava flowing through them. Pulsing, flickering, like the Earth's crust splitting open. Bald, ears burned off, just holes. Eye sockets were black pits with fire burning inside like 2 dying lanterns. It stood eyeing the flames. Not bothered. Enjoying it. Fire crawled over its body like clothing, like armor, like a natural extension of itself. Level 3 Fire-type zombie. Quick assessment, done. It opened its mouth and spat a fireball at the building. Boom. Hole in the wall. Another. Boom. Another. Fireballs launching like a machine gun. The building was getting shredded. Windows gone. Door melted. Walls cracked like spider webs. People inside ducking and covering, shadows scrambling. I didn't move. Not because I didn't care, because rushing in was suicide. That zombie was standing in the middle of a fire lake. Teleporting into flames? That's not heroism. That's a donation. But my eyes were locked on it for a different reason. Fire-type crystal core. Same element as me. Absorbing a same-type core doubles the efficiency. If I got this core, I could hit level 4 tonight. I licked my lips. Let's do this. The building collapsed into a bonfire. Roof caving in, bricks crashing, sparks flying. The screaming inside got weaker. Weaker. Then stopped. Just the sound of wood burning. Pop, crackle. Pop. I looked away. Nothing I could do. The apocalypse doesn't come with a save everyone option. Saving myself was already a luxury. I pulled a weapon from storage. Death's Eye. Sniper rifle. Matte black. Ice cold to the touch. Heavy. Satisfyingly heavy. I'd grabbed this from the golden tripod vault. In my past life, I'd barely used sniper rifles. Some ex-special forces guy at the base taught me for 2 days before zombies ate him. My marksmanship was at the I can make the bullet leave the barrel level. 7 10.4mm rounds clicked into the magazine. Click, click, click. Each sound crispy and addictive. Brass-tipped bullets gleaming in the firelight. I grinned. Today, this fire zombie was my stepping stone to becoming a gun god. Or at least a gun. Student. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. So I'm lying on a rooftop with a sniper rifle, feeling like a total action hero. There's this fire zombie down below, cracked skin lava. Veins, the whole volcano cosplay. And it's literally sucking all the fire in the area back into its body like some kind of demonic vacuum cleaner. Cool trick, honestly. Terrifying, but cool. I line up my shot. Steady my breathing. Tell myself, don't miss, don't miss. I miss. The bullet hits the ground 3 meters away from this thing. 3 meters. I couldn't miss that badly if I tried. Oh wait, I was trying not to miss. Even worse. The zombie hears the shot and whips its head around. No eyes, but I can feel it staring at me. My whole back goes cold. Then it spits a fireball. At the wrong building. This idiot can't aim either. We're both trash. 2 blind fools having a shootout. So I reload. Shot number 2. Hits a gas pump. Explosion. Fireball. Very cinematic. 0 damage to the actual target. Shot 3. Ground. Shot 4. Grazed its shoulder, hit a wall behind it. Shot 5. Honestly no clue where that went. Shot 6. I literally don't know. Somewhere on planet Earth, presumably. 6 shots. 6 misses. My past life sniper skills were apparently just me holding a gun twice and thinking I was cool. 1 bullet left. I'm talking to this zombie like it's a person. Last shot, bro. Give me some face here. I fire. And I hit something. That its arm. I was aiming at the head. You know what? I'm calling that a win. I definitely meant to shoot the arm. 100% intentional. The arm blows clean off. Bones sticking out. Smoking. The whole mess. The zombie looks down at its missing arm like, bro really? And starts screaming bloody murder. That's my cue. I teleport right behind it. Boom. 100 meters in a blink. Shove a fire blade into the back of its skull, and it's lights out. The lava cracks go dark, its body turns to stone, and it tips over and shatters like a cheap garden statue. I dig out the crystal core from its head. Little red marble, warm like holding a tiny campfire. Beautiful. Into the storage space it goes. I find a safe spot, pop 2 level 1 crystals to recharge, hop in my military truck, and drive off. In the mirror, the gas station is still burning, but honestly, that's not my problem anymore. Today's haul: 1 fire type level 3 crystal, 1 regular level 3 crystal, 8 level 2 crystals. Tonight, I'm pushing to level 4. Business is good. Now here's where I get clever. I pull over outside my neighborhood, dig some bread, self-heating rice, and 2 bottles of Coke out of my secret space dimension and stuff them in my backpack. Gotta look like I spent the whole day scavenging like a normal person, right? Can't let the girls know I've got a pocket dimension. That secret is between me and, well, You guys reading this? I walk up to the neighborhood gate feeling pretty good about myself and immediately hear a commotion. There's like a dozen people camped outside my villa, holding steel pipes, kitchen knives, and baseball bats. Real classy welcoming committee. Some rat-faced dude with beady little triangle eyes is pointing at Zhou Baiwan's face, calling her every name in the book, demanding we hand over all. And this is where things get really interesting. The next part is already on Patreon. Don't want to wait? Watch it right now. Link in the description and pinned comment.